Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn move-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel, brought to you in part by our friends at Mint Mobile. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world. Movies, movie news, TV, streaming, all sorts of good stuff. Sitting right beside me, a whole load of good stuff, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. How you doing, sir?
John, a silver shamrock says, well, I won't sing the song, but we're less than 2 weeks away from Halloween.
Oh, we are, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
I still got to get my costume. Anna and I are going to like a Halloween costume party on Saturday, and she's got
What are you going to
kilos.
be, if I might ask?
I don't know. It's got to be something easy. I was thinking about
Squid Game guard.
Well, no, that's going to wait. Yeah, that is easy, though. Wait to take. Well, I thought about doing a Slave Leia outfit, but it's been done 1,000 times by guys. So I already did my Harley Quinn, so I can't do Harley Quinn again. So I don't know. I'm working on that. If any of you guys have suggestions, what should John be for Halloween? Write in the comment section. Sitting right beside him, Chris Carr is here. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I had a very weird actor weekend where I did 12 hours of Meisner technique. You would have hated it. It's 12 hours of talking about your feelings.
Wow.
Yeah.
I heard the first syllable. I thought you were going to say 12 hours of talking about your feet. But we'll get to feet stuff.
That's what I leave to you.
Yes, thank you for that, John.
That is a segue to something we're going to be talking about a little bit later in our Game of Thrones thing. Sitting back there.
I felt seen.
He's all about feet.
Oh, God, man.
No.
I am not.
He is not.
I am not, and I do not want to see you in a Slave Leia outfit. I will take the day off. Shout out to my little bro, George, and his lady, Jocelyn. They got married yesterday. I was at their wedding, bringing the worlds of Lebanon and Mexico together.
Woo-woo.
Yep. And also, I miss Damon. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Monday's not the same without Damon.
No, we've all got a Damon-shaped hole in our heart this morning.
Yeah, something.
Glad you said hole in your heart.
Yeah.
Sitting beside him, of course, running the show today, producer Jonathan Voico. Jonathan, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. I think you guys all know I've been in costume every day. I mean,
Is it a costume or is it the true
person? Is it producer
Hollywood
Jonathan
director
or is it
costume?
Matt Reeves? I don't know. Who's the real one?
All right, guys, here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to break it into two parts. In the first half of the show, we're going to talk about some predetermined topics. Then in the second half of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. The way that happens is thus. Number one, well, you got to be watching live. Number two, at the end of the main topics, we'll announce that we're opening up the super chats. We only leave it open for a couple of minutes. So you got to get your thoughts, theories, opinions, and questions in there quick, and then we'll address those in the second half of the show. Also, some housekeeping here. Don't forget, if you need your daily dose of the John Campea Show, but you can't be in front of a YouTube video, good news. There's an audio-only version creatively called the John Campea Show Podcast. Just go onto your favorite podcasting app of choice and search for it today. Also, don't forget we have a secondary podcast feed, our after show podcast feed, where, by the way, we've got an after show coming a little bit later today, which segues great into today at 3:15 p.m. We are going to be doing our Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, Episode 9, open spoiler after show. Make sure you guys come on in. Make sure you're in bare feet when you do it, because we've got so much great. We're going to get in the mood for it. We're going to talk about it.
No.
Big stuff happening in the world of Game of Thrones.
You're a little gross on Mondays, huh?
It's the show. I'm
bleeds
talking
in.
about a specific thing in the episode. What are you talking about?
You're a little
Anyway,
gross on
you're
Monday.
really gross.
It's a new shirt.
Just a little.
Add it to the shop.
All right, guys. With all that down, let's get things kicked off here with an off the top, and that is this. You know, Netflix has been in the news a lot lately, mostly not for some great things, but some pretty decent things at the same time. But it really does look like Netflix is kind of in this phase as they get ready to move into, ad-supported levels of their service, which is something that some time ago Netflix said they would never do. But, the industry is changing. The pure streaming game isn't the gold at the end of the rainbow that everybody thought it was going to be a couple years ago. They're getting ready to move into that. Interesting thing. Did you hear, too, that the ad-supported level, you will not have full HD? It only will go up to 720p. It won't go up to the full 1080.
Well, that's bullshit.
I mean, so that was an interesting thing, too. But talking about them changing their ways, just before the pandemic hit, a report has come out that has said that Netflix was positioning themselves to buy Paramount Studios outright. This comes to us from the folks over at Bloomberg. They wrote, it's even expressed greater openness to large-scale mergers and acquisitions, talking about Netflix. Not long before the pandemic, Netflix explored a deal for Paramount Pictures, the studio behind The Godfather and Top Gun, according to two people familiar in the talks. Netflix wanted the studio's library, and they wanted that iconic Paramount lot. But they were not interested in buying the cable networks owned by the same company, so talks didn't go anywhere, said the people who declined to be identified. So Netflix was actually in the neighborhood of looking to acquire one of the big major historic studios. And I think the valuation on them at the time was around $12 billion, which if you're a Netflix, that's doable. You could just like cut a check and buy them outright at that point. And it's interesting that, number one, they wanted a lot. Because I remember when we were looking around, do you remember a couple of years ago, Rob, we were looking around, we were still doing stuff with the stream, and we were looking around everywhere around LA for potential studio space. And like every real estate agent we talked to was, good luck. Because Netflix, Amazon, they're all like buying up and leasing up every square foot of available space in town. So for Netflix to want to go after the Paramount lot, that makes a lot of sense for them. But here's the part where I bet they're going to kick themselves in the ass. They weren't interested in acquiring the channels, and I guess Paramount would only be a big package deal. But now that Paramount has things like Mayor of Kingstown, Yellowstone, which I believe is like the best show on television. Hell, the new King of Tulsa trailer just came out, Stallone. That looks freaking awesome. I wonder if they might be kicking themselves a little bit, saying that could have been some new great content for Netflix. At any rate, Rob, you hear that Netflix was actually positioning itself to buy Paramount before the pandemic. It obviously didn't work out, but what do you think about that?
I honestly, I thought it was going to happen because I heard this. It was like you said, it was a great buy. I mean, that library alone, I think that Netflix's biggest problem is they believe too much in the fact that they're Netflix. I mean, Netflix is almost like a cult. And I think that people like, if you ever go in that building, I've done shot some interviews in there, and every floor is full of snacks and beautiful accoutrements. You know, if you work at Netflix, it's like all your needs are taken care of. I wouldn't be surprised if they have like a 2 Bunch Palms spa somewhere in that building. Who knows? But I mean, I think that one of the problems is Netflix is so attached to their business model, which is why they're so reluctant to jump in on streaming. I mean, they're so, theatrical releasing, like with Knives Out, Glass Onion, that I think that they don't have, at the time, they didn't have the vision to see how they could make it work. And I understand why they wouldn't want the networks. They are the network.
Right.
That's their thing. They don't need Showtime. They don't need Nickelodeon. They don't need whatever. They don't need those things. But I think that was kind of short-sighted in the sense that acquire it all, because then you get everyone's libraries and figure out what you're going to do with it later. I mean, look, they haven't gone into live local news or anything like that. Who knows? Maybe it gives them weird places to expand. Not that it's part of their business model. I think they're too tied to, at least what we've seen them in the past do. They're too tied to what they are. And what they are was a little myopic, I think. And we've seen it. We saw it with their stock price dropping. I think they should have bought Paramount. I think it was a big mistake not to. And as you put it, if it was truly a $12 billion, the real estate alone would have probably paid for itself. Because how much are they paying in real estate in downtown Hollywood?
Yeah, and it should be pointed out too, give credit where it's due, they have been coming out of their shell. Again, willing to experiment with the ad-based model, the thing that they are putting out, Glass Onion, even if it's limited theater, something they never would have done before. So they're getting there. Anyway, Chris, you hear about this. What part of this story stands out to you the most?
Oh man, that Netflix once had money to buy things. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, because their valuation pre-pandemic was much different than their own valuation today.
Well, Paramount, I'm feeling spicy this morning, Rob. Paramount had just a couple banger years, right? They came out of the pandemic strong. Yeah. They really, really did. Theatrically, television-wise, streaming-wise, all that good stuff. I mean, I understand why people would now really, really want these things. And, I'm not a very savvy business person, but I've played a lot of Monopoly. And
Same thing.
yeah, essentially. And you don't always have to buy things to use them. Sometimes they're things that you flip. All right. I do watch a lot of HGTV. Sometimes you flip things. Sometimes you repurpose things. And Netflix could have done some really, really cool stuff here with those properties that they didn't think they wanted at the time.
Make sex dungeons.
They could have made
That's
sex
right.
dungeons. They would have had a show to tell them how to do it.
Doesn't
Would've been
Netflix
great.
do that show?
Oh man,
They
yeah,
did.
Netflix
Yes, they did. That
one.
little old English
It was
lady.
wonderful. It's a delightful show, by the way.
It is hilarious,
It's
isn't
and
it?
It's honestly sweet. I don't know. I'm off topic, but
Well, I kind
are a little
of
gross on Mondays, right?
it's like really hard.
You're not off topic.
I'm here for the segues.
Mondays are dirty, right?
Yeah.
So I really, really think this was a missed opportunity. It's unfortunate they didn't get in there when they could, because absolutely no way, no how they're going to get Paramount.
Yeah,
these
there's
days.
no way now. And like,
Yeah.
who could have predicted that Paramount was going to have the year that they're having now?
Man,
no one
that
predicted.
CEO.
Yeah,
he came
he
out
knew.
at CinemaCon with all the Sonic dancers being like, "Bitch."
He walked out there like he fucking owned Vegas, and it was like, you know what, good on you. And look at the year they've
he
had.
believed.
It's been hit after hit
He
after hit.
believed in theatrical releases.
That's right.
And they have a lot of really interesting bullets in the chamber too.
They
Like
do.
Mission Impossible
Absolutely. Yep.
sequels. And
They
Great
got a lot of
relationship
good
with Tom
stuff
Cruise.
coming.
That's not a bad thing to have.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this whole thing? Should Netflix have pulled the trigger on this when they had the chance to? Maybe they dodged a bullet on this and that they didn't get it. They might be kind of overly stretched out today if they had. I don't know. However you guys see this, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's get into our newest segment here on the John Campea Show, and that is our friends at Mint Mobile and their hotline question of the day. If you guys would like to hear your golden voice on our show and you have a question for us, you can call our Mint Mobile hotline anytime, 24/7 at 951-268-4259. Call in your question and maybe you'll hear it picked to be on the show. So, Jonathan, which question do we have today?
Hey guys, this is Gavin from Tennessee. My question for you guys today is, do you think that Marvel should hire another Kevin Feige-like person to run their TV side of the show for the MCU? Y'all said it numerous times, Kevin's stretched pretty thin with the numerous amount of projects coming out and continuance coming out. So I think it'd be a good idea for them to hire another person like him, if they can even find one, to run the TV side of the show so he could run the movie side. And hopefully in doing this would raise the quality on both the movies and the TV show, as they've kind of taken a dip over the past couple of years. Thanks.
All right. Thanks a lot for calling that in, Gavin. And yeah, listen, one of the things that we've talked a lot about over the past while is how stretched thin Kevin Feige's become. He became the guy who was running himself ragged over 3 projects a year. And now they're trying to do umpteen number of projects per year. And we've even heard that he no longer is as directly hands-on with a lot of the projects. Some he is, some he's not. And I think you can kind of see that the quality, the overall quality of MCU stuff, even though they've had some bangers in Phase 4, Shang-Chi, WandaVision, Spider-Man No Way Home, they've had some big winners, Ms. Marvel. But overall, I think most people would agree that Phase 4 has seen the quality level come down a little bit. And I think that has something to do with it. That's speculation on my point, of course, but it is what it is. So what about the idea of saying, okay, you know what? Let's divvy up the work. We've got the movie side of the MCU. We've got the TV side of the MCU. Kevin, you just keep focusing on the movies, the big money makers, all that kind of stuff. And we'll bring in another head to look over the Disney Plus TV stuff. On its surface, the idea is not bad. It's sound. Delegation. Break up the work. Kevin Feige can become more focused. And then you have somebody else who's dedicatedly focused on stuff going on in the TV realm. I get it. But there's 2 big reasons why I don't see this working. Number one, the TV side, unlike the way Marvel used to be in ages past, the TV side and the movie side are too closely connected, narrative-wise. The person on the TV side couldn't make a decision about something they can do in the shows without Kevin Feige's blessing and approval, because it's going to affect his movies and his overall thing. And vice versa. Anything that Kevin Feige does in the movie side is going to have a direct impact and has to be reflected in the Disney Plus shows. Oh, you were planning on doing that TV show, that Disney Plus show? I'll just use the name Bishop. You were going to do that Bishop show. Oh, yeah. Did I forget to tell you that in the X-Men movie we're shooting tomorrow, we're actually killing Bishop? Sorry. That's an extreme example, but there's that. Also, want to remind everybody, there's the Ghost of Christmas Past, Present, Future, and the Ghost of Marvel Past, whose name was Ike Perlmutter. Mm-hmm. And we all remember what happened when Kevin Feige tried to have divided power with Ike Perlmutter. Well, he worked for Ike Perlmutter for a while, and that didn't happen. You're ultimately still going to come down to the same thing. Kevin Feige will still be in charge of everything. And so at that point, it doesn't really help. So, and then we as the audience are going to trust anybody they get in to run the TV side as much as we trust Feige. So in principle, the idea is sound. I just don't see them doing it. Anyway, Rob, the idea that maybe having a second Kevin Feige running their own division independent of the movie, I don't know. Do you think that's something that could work?
Yeah, I don't really know because, I mean, if you look at what their television output has been in the past in phase 4, it's quite diverse in terms of you've got WandaVision, which is essentially a one location show. Then you've got Falcon and Winter Soldier that's shot all over Europe. Then you have She-Hulk, which is a comedy. Then you've got What If, which is an animated show. So there's a lot of different kinds of programming here. And I think you really do need somebody, at least somebody who with some kind of oversight. Now, even if you hired somebody to handle just the TV side, there's a lot of different kind of programming that they have to handle, you know, and like, does someone know about, I'd never worked in animation before. It's a different discipline. It takes a lot longer than shooting live action TV. You'd need somebody that would then understand both. So I think it'd be a hard person to install, but maybe it would alleviate the pressure. I just don't know who they find to do it.
Yeah. Chris, what do you think? Could an arrangement like that actually functionally work there?
I mean, in theory, it could, because credit where credit's due. Perlmutter did give us Daredevil and Jessica Jones, I believe, right? And so there were some shiny little moments. Luke Cage, the first season.
First half of the first season.
Of the first season, yeah, you know. There were some moments. Those were good.
Cottonmouth was awesome.
Cottonmouth was so good. Why'd y'all kill him so quickly? Give
So
us
give me Blade.
Yeah.
So you get that.
Whoa, we're around each other way too much now. But this is the issue is, can we just go and find another Kevin Feige? Well, we've talked ad nauseum on this channel about how that's a pretty big ask of finding a duplicate Kevin Feige. We got to clone him. We got to go full Palpatine here, baby. But the other issue is
somehow another Kevin Feige has appeared.
Yeah, just in the wild.
Is it AI?
What we really have to do here too is just find congruency throughout these phases, right? With television, we all know this, a showrunner is so important. The integrity, the theme, the overall vibe of a show, right? So what if we take these Marvel retreats and then we shift it to having the showrunners all come together with Feige, because great leadership can delegate. And I feel like that's what's missing a little bit here is he's holding those reins really, really tight. If we loosen them a little bit while we still have cohesion, while we still can do a writer's room essentially, but with our bigwigs, maybe that could add a little bit more continuity throughout here and a little more consistency and be able to deliver the way things like Ms. Marvel did.
I don't know. Everything you're saying is perfectly logical.
It's so easy on paper. It's communism right
It's just
now.
the whole idea that less Kevin Feige involvement, I think, might be one of the contributing factors of everything dropping a little bit. But maybe another hand on the wheel might be what's in store here. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about that? The idea of getting a totally separate, creating a new position, somebody who's the head of Marvel television production with their Disney Plus stuff. I don't know. Good idea, bad idea? How can you see it working? How could you see it not? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys, before we get into our main topics here, I wanted to introduce a couple of people to you. Now, for those of you who follow our community tab or follow my Instagram or anything like that, I have announced that we're going to be trying something for a little while here around the show. You know, back in the day, one of the things I loved during a live show, I've always loved it so much, is having a proper host. I call myself a host. I'm not. I'm a panelist. I'm a pundit, whatever. But to have a proper host back in the day, like we used to have with Natasha or Ashley or Sinead or stuff like that, just it always felt like it gave the show more pace. It structured it better. It moved along quicker, gave more personality to the show, all that kind of stuff. I've never been in a position, though, that we could do it, but we are now. I took in over 400 applications over the course of like 3 days that I had applications open. We screen tested a bunch of people. We interviewed a bunch of people. And we came down to, spoiler alert, Jonathan brought them up, but they
didn't see it. That was just on the back.
Oh, that was on the back end?
Yeah.
Well, let's bring it in here now. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to Alu Moana and also Kaylee Robinson, who are going to be joining us starting tomorrow. I think, Kaylee, you're in tomorrow. We're going to be starting tomorrow, hosting our show with us here. I'm very, very excited about it. Alu, we know one of the things about you, actually, is that it's funny to me how many people wrote into me after I posted that and said, oh man, I've been following her for a long time. You're actually heavy involved in the cosplay world and stuff like that. How did you get involved with that?
Yeah, I started cosplaying around.
Get a little bit closer to the mic there.
Sorry. I started cosplaying around 2009. Actually, a lot of the people know me through cosplay and just like the nerd community in general is I was on Black Nerd Comedy Show.
Yep.
Andre Meadows, I'm sure a lot of you guys watch him. So shout out Andre. But I was kind of known within the cosplay community and the nerd comic book community through that. And yeah, I've just been really enjoying just like talking to people about movie stuff, comic stuff, cosplay stuff, and then bringing those comic book characters to life through cosplay.
Well, we are super thrilled that you're here. And also, Kaylee, like on top of everything else, I realized you're a singer.
I am.
You're a really good singer.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
What got you into singing so much?
I mean, I just grew up singing since I was 5. I started singing in church and then talent shows and then all over the world because I'm an Air Force brat, so I grew up living in the Philippines, Italy, Hawaii, Germany, Florida, Texas, all over. So yeah, I've just been into singing my entire life. That's my number one love.
And Ray, I don't know if you realize this, you won't be the only Filipino in the room anymore.
Yeah.
Ray is no longer the only
Right.
Filipino in the
Yeah,
room.
Minority Island. Got bigger.
So,
Residents of Tuna.
guys, Alu, Kaylee, we're really glad that you guys here. We're looking forward to you guys starting on the show this week. And I just wanted to take a chance and introduce you to everybody. So welcome, guys. All right. With that down now, guys, we're going to move into our main topics. But before we do, we're going to take just a quick second and thank one of the sponsors of today's episode. I've taken like no less than 8 of their courses now. Our friends over at MasterClass. Hey guys, we want to take a second to thank the sponsor of this video, MasterClass. You guys know we have been sponsored by MasterClass and we love them here at the John Campea Show for giving us in-depth information on a wide variety of topics from the world's best experts. With MasterClass, you can learn from the world's best minds anytime, anywhere, and at your own pace. You can learn the art of filmmaking from James Cameron, improve your cooking skills from Gordon Ramsay, or learn how to make compelling YouTube videos from Marquise Brownlee. With over 150 classes from a range of world-class instructors, that thing you've always wanted to do is closer than you think. I was recently watching through the independent filmmaking course by Spike Lee, and I found it fascinating that not only did he cover the broader topics like working with actors, but he also gets into finer details like working with a cinematographer and how to properly audition a DP for your project. It was fascinating. So guys, I highly recommend that you check it out. Get unlimited access to every class, and as a John Campea Show listener, you get 15% off an annual membership. Go to masterclass.com/Campea now. That's masterclass.com/Campea for 15% off Masterclass. And thank you to our friends at MasterClass, number one, for creating such an amazing service. Guys, always be learning. There's so much stuff you can get into over there. I highly recommend you check them out. And of course, for being a sponsor of today's show. All right, guys. With that down, let's get into our main topics here today. And how do we select our main topics? Well, that's where you guys come in, because you come up with our main topics. Whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we need to cover as a main topic on the show, just go anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, Chris, what is our first main topic today?
Oh, this is the last time we're going to do that, John. This is from Darius, and history repeats itself. Did you guys see that G4 is getting shut down again? The thing was barely around a year. I'm kind of mixed about it because even though I hardly watched it, I loved the idea of it. I used to love the old G4 days and was kind of excited about its return. What do you guys think? And could something like G4 ever return again? Thanks.
All right, thanks for sending that in, Darius. And you know, I used to love G4. I mean, it was the one place that we could go anytime and I could turn it on and I knew there would be something geek-centric. Whether they're talking about video games or what was my real big thing was tech. That's where I first got exposed to Leo Laporte. I still follow his Twit network, stuff like that. They would talk all about computers and technology and stuff like that. And of course, video games. You had X-Play, and then, you know, they had the one that was produced in Canada too, and I can't remember the name of that one was. But I used to love that. It was something that filled a void that was not being filled elsewhere. But then YouTube got popular. and technology and gaming and all that kind of stuff became popular, and podcasts and all that kind of stuff. And it raised a question. And eventually you start seeing G4 losing their identity. Like suddenly they were playing cops like 7 hours a day.
Cheaters,
Cops, bad
amazing
boys.
shows, by the way.
Amazing shows, by the way.
Cheating cops.
Emmy-winning stuff. It's just they lost their identity. And eventually, they got replaced by the Esquire network. That was short-lived as well. Then came word that they were going to revitalize it. And I remember it was just in 2020 that they announced it at Comic-Con, and everybody got excited. Maybe in 2019, but everybody got excited. The return of G4. But it seemed like everybody loved the idea of it. Nobody actually ever tried it or tuned in. Anyway, this comes from the folks over at Deadline who wrote the following. Comcast Spectre, which is the division that owned and relaunched the new G4 division, is pulling the plug on video game-centric network G4 TV, whose early incarnation in the 2000s remains a cultural touchstone for many millennials, just a year after its relaunch. In a memo set to be sent out to all employees, Spectre CEO Dave Scott explained that the company's investment and efforts to revive the network just didn't gain traction. The current iteration of G4 is smaller and less focused on traditional linear TV than was its predecessor. It has announced a programming slate including a revised version of the original G4 mainstays, Attack of the Show and X-Play, plus comedy boosted, Japanese competition series, Ninja Warrior, esports competitions, and Dungeons and Dragons limited series. All right, in principle, what they seem to be trying to build the new G4 around was sound. You get into that geek stuff, get into Dungeons and Dragons, get into the esports. Ninja Warrior was an interesting ad for that. Anyway, whatever. Not a lot of super athletic guys playing in the esports leagues, just mentioning, or playing Dungeons and Dragons for that matter. But yeah, so number one, not surprised. I literally, I don't know anybody that watched the new G4 at all once. I don't know. Ray, did you ever try it out? Did you ever check out the new G4? No comment on that from Ray. I never checked it out. I never heard anybody talking about it except for when there was like drama stuff going on. But other than that, the second part of the question is, can we see something like this try again? It's going to be challenging in a world of Twitch and in a world of YouTube. It's going to be very, very challenging because like for my tech stuff, I don't wait for a weekly show to come on. I can go anytime to Linus, good Canadian kid, Unbox Therapy, another good Canadian kid, Marquise, who I'm sure probably has some Canadian heritage in him. So, I mean, I got all that to go to. Video game content? Are you kidding me? Like between Twitch and YouTube and everything else, there's ass loads of the stuff out there. We could use a little more Dungeons and Dragons stuff, but the good folks at Critical Role and others are doing their best to correct that. So it's gone. I'm not surprised. And I don't think anything else in that traditional TV format can come back and take its place. Anyway, Rob, you hear about, unsurprisingly, the demise of G4 again. Was this inevitable? And do you think something else like it could take its place?
Well, I mean, without wading into current controversies on the channel that you could look at on YouTube, ad infinitum, whatever, I think they had a fundamental problem. When G4 first came out, because YouTube and Twitch didn't exist, you could have scripted content with hosts, and you could have skits, and you could have all those things. With the rise of YouTube and Twitch, what the audience wants is a genuine, they want to know that people who are on this show or on the shows they watch are authentic. And the people with the fan channels, our channel, any channel that people watch that has developed an audience, the YouTube audience is us. It's people watching people that are like them. And when you're watching, you know, Olivia Munn doing a scripted thing on G4.
Because I always thought that when I saw Olivia Munn, she's like me.
Well,
That's
no,
the first
that
thought I
was
always
what I say.
had.
She wasn't. And you know, those shows were scripted programming, and they did the same thing. The one thing they didn't evolve with is they made their hosts, and they made all the people that ran those shows. It was all scripted.
Right.
Yeah. So we're beyond that. I mean, look, we do not work with a script. We work with topics, certainly, but we're speaking off the cuff. You're getting raw, uncut John Campea and the rest of us when you're on the show. And I think
For
that's
better or worse.
For better or worse.
For better or worse. But that's what people want. They want an authenticity. And I'll tell you something. When they're not getting it, you can see it immediately.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what's happened. I mean, when you watch gamers, the best gamers, they know what they're talking about. Those tech channels, they're not, I mean, some people do write their own scripts, but it's them. It's because they're tech heads. You're watching people that know their shit, and you know if they know their shit or not because you know your shit. And that is something that the new G4 just didn't have. And I think that it was doomed from the beginning because that was an area that they did not evolve.
Do you think something like it could reemerge again?
No, because what's like it is on. Look, if you want to watch funny, weird sketches, you can watch Mr. Beast. If you want to watch tech channels, you go watch tech channels. If you want to watch, I honestly say this not just because I'm on the show right now. I think this show is the best entertainment news show on YouTube. You do the most amount of work in terms of prep. It's structured, yet we're still speaking off the cuff. We're still who we are. We're not, what you see is what you get. Somebody called me, I don't know if you saw, somebody made a video about us and said I was your old uncle that says uncouth things about women. I'm like, I don't do that, but okay,
kinda do that.
I'll take it, but I think that's what people want from YouTube.
You're our drunk uncle, but usually sober, which I thought was like, that's pretty on the
Usually
money.
sober.
You broke sober
So
October
much
and I'm
for
still
my-
bitter.
Well, at least it's authentic.
Very off the cuff.
Listen, let me just say it. It's great. No, but
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about that? The demise of G4 again. I literally have never spoken to anybody who's watched it. Have you? Did you ever check it out yourself? Do you think something else could, in the environment we're in today, come back to take its place? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move into main topic number 2. Chris, what is our second main topic today?
Our second topic comes from from Terry M. Hey, John and crew. I'm a big fan of Knives Out, and I'm really excited for more mysteries with Benoit Blanc. Wondering if you saw that Rian Johnson just announced that the character is actually gay. What do you think of this revelation, and how do you think it'll affect the next movie? Thanks.
All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, Terry. And yeah, you guys know I've waxed poetic about Knives Out so much. I love that movie. A true return to the murder mystery notion and idea. It fulfilled it in such a way that even my beloved Kenneth Branagh wasn't able to really do with Murder on the Orient Express. But hey, or Death on the Nile. But they're making another one. So here's hoping that one will be, will crack the code. Knives Out was utterly fantastic. And the fact that they're going back to it again, making a series out of it with Benoit being played by Daniel Craig is a great idea. So we're going to get to know the character a little bit as we move forward. So it's not surprising that one of the things, it's going to be an obvious thing that we're going to find out about him, is the character's actually gay. This came out in an interview. This comes from the folks at Screen Rant who said the following. While appearing at the London Film Festival press conference for the film via Insider, Rian Johnson was asked about Benoit Blanc being a gay character in Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery after a scene showed that the character lives with another man. Johnson would confirm this to be the case and shared his excitement at writing Blanc as such. Yes, he obviously is. Johnson's confirmation on Blanc being gay seems to stem from the just one scene in the 139-minute-long sequel, making it a nice, subtle expansion of the Glass Onion and Knives Out mystery protagonist, if not a minimal one. And that, again, comes us from the folks at Screen Rant. So, of course, one of the things that I knew I was going to see is, well, why did they have to come out and announce that the character's gay? I mean, you don't come out and announce that somebody's straight. Okay, true, but just to set the context for this, they didn't. Somebody at an event asked him a question and he answered the question. And so it's not like they put together some big press release to say, hear ye, Benoit's gay. They didn't do that. It was just, hey, asked the question, answered it. It was pretty subtle.
That's how I outed all of my friends.
Man, that's fucked.
Oh, Jonathan's got a dark side. So, I mean, listen, I don't mind this at all. We're going to see it in the movie that he lives with the guy. And if anything, it starts to give us a better idea of the different dimensions of the character and who and what he is. So for this, I mean, this doesn't affect his ability to solve crimes and find holes in donuts and donuts in holes. Has nothing to do with that, anything at all. But it just gets us a deeper understanding of the character himself. So hearing Johnson just affirm that, I think is great. Anyway, Chris, you hear about that. Does it change your perception of Knives Out or Glass Onion as we're moving into it?
No, it just gives a character a different kind of love interest, right? Where Benoit might be pursuing a guy instead
Which
of
it doesn't
a gal.
sound like there is going to
And
be a
yeah,
love interest.
which, whatever. What's great about this is that, seeing yourself in film is important. That's very, very important for somebody to see this and go, oh, great. A gay character who is very, very intelligent and solves crimes and is seen as a person to be respected and listened to. Like, that's a great thing to have in cinema, right? So I don't know if anyone has an issue with it. I don't know why.
Rob, you hear about this? Any thoughts?
Well, I think you said it best. I don't understand what a character's sexuality has to do with him being able to solve crimes. Nothing. I mean, it's funny, John. I never wondered about Angela Lansbury's sexuality when I was watching Murder, She Wrote.
Thank God.
You weren't.
No, but I'm just saying it didn't affect whether or not she was.
Dude, I saw the folder on your desktop that says Angela Fetish. So don't.
Well,
don't
I
go
mean,
anywhere.
if you see her as the mom in John Frankenheimer's Manchurian Candidate, the only question is, are you going to make Benoit jokes? Maybe not. I don't know, depending. But no, I think it doesn't matter at all. I mean, it's just, as a matter of fact, I think it makes him more interesting as a character, if anything else.
I do too. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about that? Now, you might have seen some headlines going around that they've confirmed that he's gay, but it means because there's like one scene where you see something and the director answered a question. But does it change your perception of it? I don't see why it would, but maybe it does. Whatever you guys feel about it, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's get into main topic number 3. Chris, what is our third main topic today?
This comes from Edward Marson. Well, horror is continuing to dominate the force at the box office at the second half of 2022, with Halloween Ends raking in an estimated $41 million, and Smile continuing to kill it with a 33% drop.
Nice.
Well, this is under the projected 50 to 55 million they were tracking. This is still a solid number as we inch closer to Wakanda Forever. Thoughts on the box office this weekend?
All right, thanks for sending that in, Edward. And yeah, there were some really big projections for Halloween Ends coming out. They were projecting 50 to 55 million. It obviously didn't come anywhere near that. It came in at 41. But still, this is a great result for them. Now, to put it into a bit of context, though, it is the lowest result that this particular series has had. In 2018, and Taylor, you can fact check this for me, but I think 2018's Halloween, I think it made something in the $80 million range on its opening weekend. I mean, it was a smash hit and deserved every bit of the success that it had. Then the second one came out, and of course, that's the one that they did the split release with Peacock and in theaters at the same time. And predictably, it took a big drop with its box office opening, making 50 million. You got that opening weekend number?
76.2 million.
So 76. So close to 80. So it dropped from that all the way down to 50 million. Now going to the third one, and by the way, all film is subjective, but to me, the 2018 one was effing brilliant. The Halloween Kills, the second one, was effing ridiculously stupid. And then going to the third one, I didn't have a lot of hope. So the third one also suffered a bit. So it took another drop, maybe another 20% drop, down to the 41 million mark. Okay, not surprising, especially considering that the reviews for it are not so hot and all that kind of stuff. But still, lowest result of the franchise, of the series, regardless, $41 million for a little horror film that's a Blumhouse production that they didn't break the bank on, coming off of a generally universally accepted was not such a good second film, and yet it still managed to pull in $41 million. And by the way, Smile continues to rock on. That thing is that proportionally wise and by ratio, Smile might end up being like the most successful film of the year when you compare its budget to what it actually brings in. I mean, I haven't actually broke down the numbers yet, but it could come in there somewhere.
17 million spent on the film.
17 million spent on the film.
Pre-marketing.
So you're talking, this film's going to end up making 5, 6, or 7 times its budget, which is just absolutely fantastic for them. Horror is reigning and saving the day right now on this. So anyway, Chris, you are our resident horror aficionado. You love horror.
I love everything about it.
Particularly eye stabs.
Oh, if
so
you send me
much.
eye violence, I swear to God, I will find you. I will
No,
find
you
you.
can see.
If you send it to me.
Her eye violence.
Send it to me.
So what do you think about Halloween's result this weekend?
I mean, I'm honestly perplexed. I mean, Taylor's really our horror person. Taylor loves horror. And even he was like, what the hell is this movie? But people love this franchise and are coming out to see it. I was so confused why people were doing this when it was released the same day on streaming of, oh, y'all are going to go to a theater and see it?
Not everybody has Peacock.
That's true. But like for money, you're going to go see it? No, that's a choice. Good for you. I mean, people want to go see spooky stuff in October in the theater. And so it's great that if you are into this genre, you can go out there and see it. Smile apparently doing really, really well too. And from what I've heard, kind of sticks the landing a bit more than this Halloween installment does. Good for you, Jamie Lee Curtis. I don't know.
Rob, what stands out to you about the box office
Well,
results?
John, once again, I think that we see a day and date release hurts the box office of a film.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you can't, I know that not a lot of people have Peacock, but millions of people have Peacock. And I think that some of the horror audience stayed home. And that's a mistake. When are people going to learn? When are we going to see this where is the reluctance to release day and date? Haven't people learned now? How much money was left on the table? I mean, I was reading an article that said they at least left $10 million on the table.
I'd say
somewhere.
they at least left 25.
Probably. Overall.
Yeah.
But it baffles me. And I'll tell you something. This movie, I find the reaction, I haven't seen it yet. I find the reaction to this movie interesting because it's been very divisive. I've had friends that loved it.
I've
So
heard
this is
from a
gonna
few
be-
people that like it too.
You know, this is
Yeah.
going to be the most underappreciated movie since Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. That's impossible, by the way. But people have said that. And there have been people that have really liked this and then people that really hated it, which means I want to go see it just because it's so divided with the audience. But still, great. I mean, horror's back. We also had Barbarian that did quite well on a small spend and Smile and this. But you know what? Horror has never been, great horror films have always been a box office draw. And in my entire life as a film goer, how many times horror is back, baby? You know, you hear that every couple of years and like, really, where did it ever go? Nowhere.
You know, here's what's interesting. For the first time that I can remember in my lifetime, the top 3 movies at the box office this weekend were all horror. You had number 1, Halloween Ends with $41 million. Number 2, Smile, which has made now $137 million on a $17 million budget. This thing might make 10 times its budget. And then at number 3, the shock horror Lyle Lyle Crocodile, which, you know, you should run screaming out of the theaters about. But in all honesty, let's look at the top. In the top 10, there are 4 legit horror films. At number 9, you got Terrifier 2. At number 7, you've got Barbarian. At number 2, you have Smile. At number 1, you have Halloween Ends. And then, I mean, no joking, like, depending on how you choose to look at Don't Worry, Darling, I've heard some people try to spin that as a little bit of a horror. I don't know, but at minimum 4 in there, it's a remarkable result for it.
You know what, John, also on this is, I know it's physical media, but over the last couple weeks on physical media at the top of the charts, at the 4K charts, you have Coppola's Dracula because it was just released in 4K, Poltergeist, the original Fright Night. These have all been released. Of course, it is Halloween season, so they're going to be at the top of the charts, but they're still at the top of the charts.
Yes.
People are buying catalog horror titles, so even vintage horror titles are doing well.
Movies are experiential events, and few genres do that as well. Deliver an experience like the horror films do. Actually, I want to ask Alu and Kaylee, are either of you guys big horror people?
It's so funny. We were just talking about that. I'm not, but with a franchise like this, I do always end up checking it out. I love Jamie Lee Curtis, and I always, you know, like you, I want to know, okay, it seems divided. So I always check it out when there's like that kind of controversy going on.
What about you, Alu?
Yeah, I actually love horror films, but there's like a catch-22 because if I watch them for too long, I get nightmares. Like when I saw the movie Us by Jordan Peele, I loved it. It was a great film, but then I literally had nightmares for like a month, and I didn't watch a horror film for like a year.
All right, well, good. This is good news for me. This is good news for me because let me ask you guys this very important question. Have either of you seen the movie The Descent?
My best friend is obsessed with that movie, and I'm pretty sure she made me watch it one time. All I remember is they go down into a like spelunking expedition.
All right, this is great because this is great because now we got more participants because Aaron and Chris have never seen it. We're going to do a night at the John Campea Show Theater where we are going to put on The Descent and we are going to film reactions and you guys are going to get to be there too. We're going to have you guys in for this. It's going to be a fun night. I can't wait. Just a little insider tip. Don't sit beside Aaron.
Oh, she'll smack the shit out of you.
Yeah, when she gets scared, fists start flying and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's a bad scene. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this whole thing and the box office results that we just got? Whatever you guys feel about it, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to take a second here and thank another sponsor of today's show. Sports are heating up again. We got hockey's back. Basketball's come back. We're in the midst of the NFL season. Anything but baseball. Thank you, sports. And thank you to one of our sponsors, DraftKings.
Plus baseball.
Hey guys, we want to take a second and thank a sponsor of today's video, DraftKings. NBA fans, the wait is over. Basketball is back, so tip off the new season with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can make any $5 NBA moneyline bet and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. So check this out. In addition to the usual bets, everyone can boost up their winnings up to 100% with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. Just go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, opt in, and place a stepped-up same-game parlay today. With payouts bigger than ever, DraftKings Sportsbook is where you need to go to bet on the NBA. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use the promo code Campea, that's C-A-M-P-E-A. Make any $5 bet this week and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code Campea. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See the show notes for details. And thank you to our friends at DraftKings for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Remember, guys, when you support our sponsors, you're actually supporting us. So go on down to the description of this video, because right at the top, you're going to find links to all of our sponsors and their promo codes. And thank you again to DraftKings. Okay, guys, with that down, let's move on to main topic number 4. Chris, what is our 4th main topic today?
This one comes from Chase. I don't know about you guys, but I thought episode 9 was the perfect second last episode of a season, like maybe ever. All of Otto's planning and scheming comes to a head. Raina's move is epic, and the whole thing felt like a White House thriller drama from the 70s. Anyway, clearly I loved it. What did you guys think?
All right, Chase, thanks a lot for sending that in. I keep waiting. I keep waiting for the one bad episode of House of the Dragon to come. And it never comes. It just doesn't come. This episode was unbelievable. Now, again, just to remind you guys, we're not going to go into spoilery details here in case some of you guys haven't seen the new episode of House of the Dragon. We will do that at 3:15 p.m. Los Angeles time, a little bit later this afternoon. But, you know, to see, first of all, an entire episode without Rhaenyra, because I don't think we've had that yet. An entire episode without Daemon. There might have been an episode without Daemon before. I can't remember. We've never had an episode where neither of them are in there. So you're wondering, okay, can this show work without those two characters? Because Matt Smith's Daemon is like kind of stealing the movie, right? And my favorite character, Viserys, is no longer there. So can they make it work? Oh my God, they made it work. It's so good. This is the episode, is the culmination of all the scheming and planning of all this stuff, and it all comes to a head with such a fucking satisfying ending to that episode. And by the way, I always mispronounce this. Is it Rhaenys? Rhaenys. I got to remember that. The nephew, niece, Rhaenys.
Yeah.
The queen who never was.
She is absolutely the MVP of the episode. I mean, this was a great episode to really put a focus that we've not had before on Aegon. Alicent, it was really kind of her episode. But again, Rhaenys was like, we said in the last episode, okay, there might not be, like, the two best players in the Game of Thrones may be Larys and Rhaenys. They might be the two best players in this. And so that was, and the ending of the episode to me was so ultimately satisfying. And feet. We won't go into details here, but Ann and I are watching this last night, and I'm like squirming, and I'm like, I don't get it. What is the fascination with feet with some people? But that aside, you know, creepers be creeping. It's okay, you know, whatever. But oh my God, there are moments in this episode that I'm going to be talking about for a long time. It was utterly fantastic. I absolutely loved it, and it set up perfectly heading into the season finale. Anyway, Chris, you had a chance to watch this episode of House of the Dragon. What do you think about it?
Go to me right after you talk about a foot fetish. God.
Mom, what do you think?
Tell me, did
Just tell us
somebody
what you
offer to pay you money to send them pictures of you stepping on food?
Someone, the internet, John, the internet constantly, and they're so polite. I don't want to kink shame anyone, but it's Dear Mrs. Carr, I hope you're having a lovely day. Could you send me pictures of your souls? Would you step on things? And I'm like, no, sir. And they're like, well, ta-da, bye-bye. They're so lovely.
Good day,
However, if anyone,
Jonathan will do it.
and I take Venmo, so
Sonic, if you want it, has a whole different meaning now. And get little red shoes and stomp on things.
but I
for
do
you.
charge.
Just take that scene from last night's episode and deep fake your own feet.
How do we get to that point, though?
How does one deep fake feet?
I don't
wanna
know, but I'm sure
I
it's
don't wanna
already
know.
been done.
Have we ever
I-
spoken about feet this much on this show? I don't think so. Anyway,
Probably. I want to know how we got to that point of like, this is the exchange. This is what we do. What did you do to get to this point? I will say, and this is an expectations thing, so it's not a true criticism or anything. It's just, Game of Thrones conditioned me for the penultimate episode to be a bloodbath.
be the explosion.
To be ridiculous. And we have bouts of that. We have tension. We have got a lot of intrigue. But this isn't, a Red Wedding caliber event. That being said, excellent episode of seeing how the game does get played out, seeing how people react to things. And, ooh, you got to listen to that Targaryen girl. You got to listen to her and all what she says.
This is also a good time to remind everybody of my reverse OnlyFans that I have running.
You put on more
send
clothes?
me $5 a month,
cozy.
or else I send you pictures of my bare feet. So sign up today, folks. You've been warned. All right, Rob, what do you think about the episode?
This was a banger of an episode, and somebody said it reminded them of a 70s. I think our viewer of a 70s political film. I mean, this might have not been ending with a bloodbath, but it did end. Or it began with the death of our king. We saw poor Viserys wrapped up, and we saw this.
Now remember, let's not go into big details.
Put up the
we know he
graphic.
died. He died.
Yeah,
last,
he died at the end of the last episode. Yeah,
But I'm just saying is that we saw in the direct aftermath, this episode was tense.
yeah.
It was. I mean, I never thought when I won't say who, someone's being led on a street through throngs.
Thrilling. I was holding my breath.
I'm like, please be okay. And I thought this was a beautiful use of location photography and all over the place because we had two groups of people searching.
Such a great.
I mean,
idea.
the whole thing was great. You saw, I mean, heartbreaking with two brothers that we just met. One of them's on one,
little
and
civil war going on.
I thought this episode was, and it shows what this show is doing that's different than Game of Thrones. I mean, in terms of it really is. You've got these. I love the fact that we have two opposing sides, and we're watching these two opposing sides. Battle lines are being drawn, and they've taken a long time to build up to this, but now the dam has broken and the water is coming in, and we're all going to drown. And I love it. I absolutely love it, and I think that the acting in this show, the kid who plays
Aegon.
not Aegon,
Aemond.
Aemond.
He was great. He was great.
He
in this
was
episode.
great. And his face. I mean, Elizabeth's like, he looks like a comic book villain, like the Joker or something. I love that guy.
By the way, there's a line, without context, this won't mean to anything to any of you who haven't seen it. But for those of you who have seen, you know what we're talking about. There's a line in there that I thought gave more depth to the Aemon character than anything else has happened. So when the one person looks at him and says, "My, you've grown." And then the response of the look on his face versus that person's face, like, with one little line, I learned so much more about this character's psyche and everything about him.
Oh, yeah.
It was, my, how you've grown.
The writing in this show is so smart and it's so well done. And I would imagine we're going to get a little bit more of what you wanted next week.
Yeah, for sure. But
By the way,
also-
this picture quickly, if you had told me that, that you just really felt that the best actor to play the grown-up Aemond was Crispin Glover,
Yes.
and we're just going to de-age him, I would just straight up believe you. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't even questioned it. I would have just completely believed it.
Yeah. I was just going to say, also, can we just once again say, Kristen Cole, I hate your guts. I hate you so much.
What a little asshole!
Oh,
he
that little
is.
bitch.
I want to give a shout out to the Raymond Dwad, how you pronounce his last name. His score for last night's episode was
Oh,
amazing.
yeah.
As they're going through the streets and all
Dude,
that. Oh,
it was so good. And then one of the more satisfying moments in Game of Thrones history, I think, at the end of this episode.
oh my God! I was like,
I mean, I literally stood up. I literally stood up and was like, Elizabeth was laughing because I was like, you go. It was so good.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What did you think of last night's second to last episode of Game of Thrones House of the Dragon Season 1? I absolutely loved it. Again, reminder, a little later today at 3:15 p.m. Los Angeles time, we will be doing our House of the Dragon open spoiler after show. Make sure you guys come on back and join us for that. All right, guys. With that down, let's move into main topic number 5. Chris, what is our 5th main topic today?
This one comes from Imran. While promoting Black Adam, Dwayne Johnson said he and his team have been fighting for 6 to 7 years to get Cavill and Black Adam. He went on to say that the old regime at WB were doing everything they could to keep Henry from returning as Superman. It wasn't until the new leadership took over was when they were finally given the green light for Henry to make his comeback. Why did Walter Hamada and the old WB administration not want Cavill back? What was their beef with him?
All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in. And look, do we really have to? We don't have to go into it all. You guys know that I am one half of the greatest bromance in Hollywood. Me and Henry Cavill. Henry's not aware of it, but yeah, he and I, bromance. I love Henry Cavill. I love him as Superman. He's my favorite Superman. Man of Steel is the most underrated comic book film of all time. Blah, blah, blah. You've heard me say it a million times. So I am obviously very, very happy that we're getting Henry Cavill back. It also makes me very happy knowing why he came back and how it became possible that he came back. This is specifically what, look at that. I remember my favorite thing is one of the girls from IGN was writing about this video. This is one of the most iconic videos ever put on YouTube. Henry Cavill building his own gaming PC. And I remember the greatest line ever. One of the female writers over at IGN wrote, I watched the first 30 seconds of Henry Cavill building his gaming PC, and I'm pretty sure I'm pregnant. It's just like, come on.
That's just science.
That's just science. So I'm really happy. So what did Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson actually say about the situation? Well, this is what he said. He said, I feel that this serves not only Black Adam, talking about Henry Cavill come back, not only Black Adam, but it serves the larger DC universe. But more importantly than that, it takes care of the fans. Or specifically John Campea. And that's what you want your lead foot to be. So yes, phone calls, meetings, but man, this was years, man. 6 years to get that done. I'm going to say that again. 6 years we first started about this and they kept saying no. Now that leadership isn't there anymore at DC, at Warner Brothers, and we usher in a new era of the DC universe. So basically, what basically Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is saying, yeah, we've been trying for years, but Warner Brothers just kept saying no. No, 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 no. Then comes in David Zaslav and the new ownership. And one of the first things that we talked about before, remember we told you guys that David Zaslav likes Henry Cavill Superman. He thinks Superman is a pivotal character that you need to build a shared cinematic universe around, all that kind of stuff, which got me, crossing my fingers and my toes and doing my little wiggle, hoping, I'll let you imagine what that wiggle looks like, hoping that would mean that Henry Cavill could be making his triumphant return and could be coming back. And now Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson confirming, yeah, under the old leadership, they said no. New leadership said yes, which makes me extremely excited. For a long time, Rob, we talk about the Axe of Zaslav. And look, I know it's unpopular, but I think he's doing a lot of things that they need to do to ensure the long-term survival and success of Warner Brothers right now. Some people disagree. That's perfectly fine. But we said, look, it's easy, though, to take the axe to something. What's harder and what takes much, 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 much longer is to build the stuff that we're going to see. And we're still a year or two away from seeing what that is going to be. But the first thing for me is Henry Cavill is back because of David Zaslav, because the new leadership is there, and that makes me extremely happy. I don't care what anybody else thinks. Anyway, Rob, you hear about Dwayne Johnson. And by the way, I should throw one other thing too. The former leadership at Warner Brothers' hesitancy to move forward with Henry Cavill as Superman, I don't believe had anything to do with Henry Cavill.
Nope.
Like when you ask what beef did they have with Henry, it was none. It was just that in their estimation, this iteration of Superman wasn't working and they were going to have to change things up. It had nothing to do with Henry, but it was all about the character and what they wanted to do or not do with him. So with the new leadership in it, I think Henry being there marks a lot of stuff. Anyway, Rob, what do you think about the situation?
Well, I think you just said something that is really insightful and probably absolutely correct in the sense that the Superman movies that Henry Cavill was in, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Justice League, not Zack Snyder's Justice League, but the theatrical release Justice League. Those are 3 movies that, in the estimation of the people that ran the studio, underperformed for various reasons. None of those reasons were because of Henry Cavill.
Exactly.
And I think David Zaslav walks in. He's got no attachment because these people, every time a movie comes out and underperforms, the head of the studio is sus all of a sudden. Like, well, does he know his job? And they thought that Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice was going to make $1 billion. And so these movies underperformed, all 3 of them. And I think they look at, well, let's blame somebody. They always want to look for who's to blame. And they blame the people that were involved, like who was in the movie, even though actors, they're told to say a role. They come on camera and they're given a script, and Henry Cavill was a great, great Superman. And I think no one, but he killed somebody. No, the character of Superman as portrayed in the film was written to kill somebody, and Henry Cavill played that part the way he was written. He was great. He had the physicality, he looked the part, he had the sensitivity, and he still was a badass. It didn't work out. David Zaslav walks in. He's never been questioned. He looks at Henry Cavill. He probably watched Man of Steel and thought, this is great. I love this movie. Why have we made, where's the sequel?
And then Dwayne Johnson calls him and says, hey, listen, I've had it with WB saying no to me. And just Zaslav says, say no more.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm sure that's exactly what happened.
Yes.
I bet something like, because why not? You want him to show up at the end. And the thing is, who doesn't like Henry Cavill? You even go back and you watch Man from U.N.C.L.E. Now, that movie didn't do well. That movie's a lot better than people give it credit for. And he was great
love
in
Man
it.
from U.N.C.L.E.
He was great in it. I mean, as
Can't
Napoleon
really make
Solo,
a sequel anymore.
No, no, you can't. But
Not
I mean,
because of
You
Henry.
can. You just recast some things.
You're gonna have to recast.
Yeah.
the
But you know what,
army,
John?
yeah.
This shows what true leadership is. You can look behind the obvious and see things that might not be so obvious and make decisions. That's true leadership. And he did something. I mean, Zaslav, got to give him all the credit in the world for this one.
And by the way, it makes me love Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who's already my second favorite movie star. Makes me love him even more because knowing how persistent that he was to get Henry Cavill back as Superman, that even when he was being told no by the studio for however long, he didn't give up. He went to the new ownership of the studio, found an ally in it. The very fact that we talked about the other day when he said, Black Adam is the most powerful force on the planet, but the most powerful force in the universe is soup. And I'm like, see, Dwayne Johnson gets it. Anyway, Chris, you hear about this whole thing. What stands out to you?
I mean, winning cures everything, so I understand why the old regime was recalcitrant to bring in Cavill again, because I don't think you could separate those two ideas from an executive standpoint.
Yeah.
Right? Of no, that those films weren't well received, so we got to just do a fire sale. Everything must go from
And I
those.
understood that. I
yeah,
did.
Me too.
And so it totally makes sense. So before I cast blame at Hamada and be like, this is bullshit, and he should have brought in Cavill. I get it. I understand that. But the problem has been the DCEU, not Cavill. So it is really, really great to see that they are going to go, hey, not everything in these movies was hot garbage. All right. There were some great shining moments and some things that didn't work. And one of the things that worked was Henry Cavill. You can't ask for someone who looks more like Superman ripped from the pages. I mean, you truly, truly can't. He does such a wonderful job in the role. The fact that you've got one of the biggest movie stars in the world who is so bankable, who's so great at producing, who understands markets really, really well, saying he wants this guy in his franchise, that's going to also increase you back in him, So I think this is great all around. And good on you, Dwayne. Good on you for sticking to your guns.
John, you said something last week about how he knows when it's time to go when you're in wrestling.
Yes.
And how Dwayne has always played that up correctly. He can look at talent, a person, and understand where they belong in the hierarchy of whatever he's doing. Like if he's on camera with somebody, he can point and go. Because whether you like his movies or not, he's very good at picking co-stars and people that he can act opposite of. And I think he looks at Henry, even not just because they're friends and have the same manager. He's like, I want to face off against that guy because he knows exactly what he looks like facing off against somebody for an audience.
This whole move is also kind of like a big rebuke to the former ownership of Warner Brothers. Because what this is Dwayne Johnson, David Zaslav looking at the old ownership and saying, the problem was not the pieces that you had. The problem was what you did with those pieces. The problem wasn't Henry Cavill. The problem wasn't this iteration of Superman. The problem was, that's not the problem. It's what you did with them or didn't do with them. That was the problem. And we're going to show you Whether they do or not, that's another question. But they're saying we're going to show you that you could have made it a lot better. So whether they accomplish that or not, we'll see. But I love the steps they're taking. Question is for you guys. What do you think about this? Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is saying for years it was just him banging his head against the wall and Warner Brothers wouldn't budge to give it to him. The new leadership comes in, they say yes, and here we are. How do you feel about that? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's get into main topic number 6 here, shall we? Chris, what is our 6th and final main topic today?
Our 6th topic, once again.
Oh, no.
I'm sure it has nothing to do with Ezra Miller.
Oh, no. Why would it? Why would it? Do we have? There we go. This is from Jolly Man. Today at Walmart, oh, no, this isn't it.
Did I?
Yep, that's not it either.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, we didn't get the right one in.
Yeah, because
Did you slide that in there, Ray? Because it was Funko Pops.
The sixth one. So it's supposed to be.
All right, I'll read this one. I got it here.
Sorry.
All right, our viewer Ray Clubfoot writes, well, another day, another Ezra Miller story. They now face up to 26 years in prison for previous burglary. They pled not guilty, but there might be surveillance footage, and based on their previous actions, it's not hard to believe. How does this affect Flash yet again? Do they really still plan on limited press for them? Like, really? LOL, what do you guys think? All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, Ray. And another day, Ezra Miller. Only this time is nothing new that Ezra did. Okay? So a lot of people I know, I always sound like, what did Ezra do now? Ezra hasn't done anything new this time. This is talking about what's going on. Well, we are now starting to get an idea about what some of the consequences that Ezra Miller could face. Ezra Miller made his first appearance in court the other day, and of course they pled not guilty. Now, of course, in court, pleading not guilty does not necessarily mean that they're saying, I didn't do what they're saying we did. You could be found not guilty for a whole bunch of different reasons, and that could be the part of the plea. Anyway, this comes to us from the folks over at Variety who wrote this. Variety said the following. They said, the Flash's star Ezra Miller pleaded not guilty to burglary charges in Vermont court Monday morning. Miller, who's charged with burglary into an occupied home and petty larceny, faces up to 26 years in prison if convicted of both charges. Miller appeared in Bennington Superior Court virtually with their lawyer. The actor is accused of breaking into a residence in Stamford, Vermont on May 1st. After investigating at the time, Vermont State Police had discovered several missing bottles of alcohol from the property while the homeowners were not present. After collecting statements and reviewing surveillance footage, police charged Miller with felony burglary. All right, so here's the situation. When they break down the various charges that Miller is facing right now, the one charge can carry up to 25 years. The second charge, I think it's the petty larceny, can carry up to 1 year and a couple $1,000s. So, and that could be concurrent. So theoretically, Ezra Miller is facing up to 26 years in prison. Now, here's the reality. Ezra Miller will not get 26 years of jail time. And not for these particular charges at any rate. Like whether or not any real charges ever come up with the whole child grooming allegations, all kind of stuff.
Or the assaults.
Or the assaults, like whether that comes up later. We are simply talking about the burglary and larceny. So there could be other things. But I will tell you right now that Ezra Miller will not get 26 years for this. All right? I believe, based on the very limited information I have, I do believe Ezra is going to get some jail time, though. Probably 6 months to a year or a year and a half. Could face nothing, but I think ultimately what this will probably come down to, especially in light of all the other stuff, that Ezra could get a little bit of jail time and then face, 5 to 7 years of probation and whatever after this. Look, the bottom line is this. Whether they get a long jail term or they get a very short jail term or whatever, I think there is a very real chance here. And the gears of justice move slowly and the courts move slowly. There's a lot of procedures and a lot of pomp and circumstance, but there is theoretically a reality here in which Ezra Miller could be in jail the day The Flash premieres. Now, not joining us on the red carpet today, or joining us virtually from San Quentin, here is Flash star Ezra Miller, joining on some big screen. Hi, everybody. So glad to be here. Again, it very well could be that this case will still be in court when the premiere happens. Listen, in jail or not, I've said for a while, I don't think Warner Brothers even lets Ezra Miller go to the premiere because that's going to be just a huge distraction. No one's going to be talking about the movie. Everyone's going to be talking about Ezra Miller and not in the ways you want them to. So up to 26 years, I don't think it's going to come anywhere near that. I do think it's possible that they do actually get a little bit of jail time, and there is theoretically a possibility they could be in jail when this movie premieres. Anyway, Rob, whole lot of information here. What do you make of all this?
Well, I think a lot of the law is based on intent. And they talk about a 25-year prison sentence for felony burglary with an occupied home.
Plus the petty larceny charge.
Petty larceny and all that. Okay. The guy did nothing that high school students haven't done. Like, I've stolen booze. Of course, I stole it from my own house. But I mean, you know what I mean? It's not like
and you
went
continue to.
And that's true. And what have I learned? But I just think that, look, he stole a couple of bottles of booze. It's not like, I think that's going to come up. That'll be something that's pled. I mean, sure, he still broke in someplace, but even that's a little nebulous as to what exactly was going on. If you read about what actually was going on with that case, it's a little odd. Like, it's not like he just was walking down the street and just decided 1 minute to go, I think I'm going to go into that house and steal booze. So I think it's going to come out like, do I think he's going to go to jail? Probably not. I don't think he will. But like you said, he could. With all the extra stuff that's going on, he might have the book thrown at him. In which case, he's going to learn real quick that he probably shouldn't break into people's houses.
Chris, what's your takeaway from all this that we're hearing now?
Gosh, this is all just a nightmare. I mean, I definitely think because of the crisis of mental health that has been cited here, I do believe, there's going to be some kind of plea deal or bargain or something of that nature. But I do think everything's going to get compounded by all of the other accusations that have been thrown against them.
Yeah, see that, and that can come into play.
Exactly. The alleged child grooming, the alleged assaults, all of these things that have multiple witnesses, at least for the assaults that took place in Hawaii. I mean, a lot of really messed up stuff went down here. So I think this is just the first charge we're seeing brought to light.
But also, I mean, they're going to go to court.
Yes.
They're going to go to
Absolutely
court.
they are.
And they are going to have to plead their own case. And all we've heard is news reports.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I would like to hear them stand up and say, here's what's going on, and have somebody explain it.
Well, and I would like a actual change in behavior and an actual apology and acceptance of what they've done. Because so far what has been released have been very, very well manicured public release statements. Press
absolutely,
releases,
yeah.
Of I have been dealing with this and I need to get it together and these kinds of things. Great, wonderful. I love that. I hope you change. I hope you get better. You've hurt people. You've hurt every person who's worked on this film. You've tainted a potential franchise and you've taken the work of so many people and made it so this is the only thing they talk about. That's not okay. And it's not okay to do all the things that have been done, which is, the most basic thing that you learn in kindergarten is to not hurt other people or steal from them.
And
it's infuriating.
Because it's a court of law, whatever they're accused of and whatever the timeline of events was, it'll be detailed legally.
It'll be broken down, yeah.
They'll have to become accountable for what was done and how it was done and when it was done and why it was done.
And it should be said here that all of us and all of you watching this, none of us were there.
Exactly.
None of us actually stuff is going to come out in court that is the actual real evidence and real proof, not the news reports and headlines and what they did or did not do. And, Ezra is going to get their day in court and we'll see what comes of that. Question is for you. What do you think is going to come of this? Could we actually be seeing a Flash world premiere in a couple of months with Ezra Miller not there, which I do think is possible, but not there because they're in prison somewhere? Also, I still believe this movie gets a title change. I think ultimately they're going to change the name of this movie to
Batman Flashpoint.
Batman Flashpoint.
Yep.
I think they're actually going to change. Again,
There is no Flashpoint. There is no Flash movie, only Flashpoint.
only Flashpoint.
Batman
Now, again,
point, and he just
Yes.
makes good points the whole movie.
the whole
Exactly.
point. I cannot prove this. I have no insider information. I'm just saying I still bet they're probably going to change the name of it. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, I don't think there's any way Ezra gets 26 years. Then again, depending on what comes out in court, I have no idea. But what do you think ultimately is going to happen here? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, we are now going to head in and hear your guys' thoughts and theories, opinions. We are opening up the super chats now. So if you guys got a thought, theory, opinion, question, critique, whatever, go ahead and fire that in and we will address it here in the second half of the show. Now, before we get to those live questions, though, that you guys are now furiously sending in, we want to take a second and thank the major sponsor of our show and our channel around here, our friends, Ryan Reynolds and his company, Mint Mobile. Guys, we want to take a second to thank the sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month. And now for the plot twist. I'm just kidding. There isn't one. Mint Mobile just has premium wireless from $15 a month. There's no trapping you into a 2-year contract or opening the bill to find all these crazy fees. There's no luring you in with free subscriptions to streaming services that you'll forget to cancel and be charged full price for. With my old wireless provider, every month when I opened the bill, it was like playing roulette. I never knew how big the bill was going to be, and it always seemed to get bigger. With Mint Mobile, it's totally different. I know exactly how little I'm paying every month, and there's never any surprises. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or a family. And at Mint Mobile, families start at just 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. And guys, you get to use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. So transferring over couldn't be easier. So to get premium wireless from just $15 a month and no unexpected plot twists, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. You'll make your wallet very happy at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to Mint Mobile for being my awesome phone service provider and for being a sponsor of the John Campea Show. Okay, guys, with that down, let's now move into your live comments and questions. Now, a bunch of you guys who are our beloved channel members, you guys have sent in some channel member chats. We're going to address those in their own standalone dedicated video a little bit later today. Actually, we're going to answer the ones from the previous couple of shows that we've been gathering up, and we'll address those in your own member video a little bit later. But let's get over to the super chats, shall we? Chris, what's in the super chats?
First up is Mike Joyce. I liked Moonfall more than Halloween Ends.
Damn. That's a harsh rebuke.
Wow.
Ooh.
All right, what's next?
From Jay, what are your thoughts and feelings about the movie Heat? Do you think it's the best heist movie of all time? And do you think it still holds up?
It absolutely still holds up.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt. I watched it again a couple of years ago. It absolutely holds up. I don't know that I'd be willing to call it the best heist movie of all time. Like, what makes Heat great, the best parts about Heat aren't even necessarily the heist parts of it. It's the incredible drama, the character work, all that kind of, one of the most amazing casts ever assembled. But I wouldn't personally call it the best heist movie of all time, but it's an all-time classic. Rob, what do you think about it?
I agree with you because there's so much more going on in the movie than just the heist.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say if you look at a movie that's just about a heist, like Ocean's 11, that heist is great because there's so many different moving parts. The great thing about Heat is that bank robbery is a show-stopping. It turns into a show-stopping scene. The gun battle on the streets of LA in that movie, dude, one of the great action scenes ever because you're in the middle of an urban environment. What makes it so great is we've all walked down a city street, and to see that kind of an explosion of violence, I mean, open warfare with machine guns, M16s, it's done so well. I mean, it's an unforgettable moment.
All right, what's next?
From Andy, I hate Ezra Miller. Every bad thing that they've done has made the LGBTQ community look worse than what they're already dealing with a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the reality about why we talk about social responsibility as well, because like whenever you do something horrible, the reality is it affects more than just you, whether it's your family, your loved ones, your coworkers, the people around you, the communities you're connected with. And I think that's part of the problem with us as a human race, is that we often don't consider the impact and the effects of our actions on the people around us and how it might negatively impact other people, or we do and we don't care. I mean, it's like, as a species, we're not the brightest bunch. So that is one of our definite problems. And it's definitely one of the drawbacks and one of the really bad parts of this whole situation with Ezra Miller. All right, what's next?
From Ron H, 1 of 2. Episode 505 of my One Piece journey. Oh, you're in it, Ron. Yes, come aboard and bring along all your hopes and dreams. After adventures on a zombie island, the crew is separated. The captain befriends Amazons, breaks into and out of a hell prison, and loses brother in a Navy pirate war.
That was part. Do we have a part 2?
Yeah, it's up here. Just give me a second.
So far, it sounds like an episode of
Riverdale?
Riverdale, yes.
2 years later, the crew reassembles and battles a racist drug user 1,000 feet underwater and Fishman Island. No problem. The crew has added a cyborg shipwright
Which
and
was something you should do.
Yeah,
Makes
and
sense.
a skeleton musician. It is feet tier.
Feet tier?
Feet
Is
tier?
that a
Top
new
tier.
tier?
It is top tier.
Yeah.
Probably meant
Guess
top
that would
tier.
be-
Well, he's feet tier, but it's like top feet.
If you're
is
into
top.
feet, that's the best tier you could have.
It's not just good, it's feet.
Yeah.
All right. I have still never watched One Piece.
There's so much of it. It's one of those daunting
Sounds
animes
like it.
to jump into
Like,
because
how many
it's
seasons does it have? How
a
long is it?
bajillion. I don't even know. I haven't finished the show. I don't
never
even know
will.
what's happening. I won't. I'll be dead. I'll have to pass it on to my heirs.
It's that dream where the hallway just keeps going.
Yeah. That's it.
All right. What's next?
From Al Renshaw, do the new ladies know about the deliciousness that is mozzarella sticks with sour cream? LOL, how dare you?
Okay,
Don't
so
you do that,
so
Sam.
this is actually a rite of passage for you guys. All right. So just so you know, I have introduced the world as I had it introduced to me.
Yeah.
Now, have you
Most of
guys
the world
ever
doesn't
had
agree.
like matzo sticks when you've gone to a restaurant?
Yeah. I love
Okay,
it.
they always serve it with marinara, right?
Right.
Okay.
Rightly so.
Fuck that.
Yeah. No.
You ask them next time to replace the marinara with sour cream.
No.
I'm always down to try anything with sour cream.
So see, there you
I
go.
love it.
So
Hey, then we were starting out
tried
so
it.
strong.
I was down to
Love
try.
sour cream on everything.
So somebody had me try it, and it was like the gates of heaven opened, and I heard angels sing, and it was like a great revelation. And now the nation, everybody watching this show live, who has tried it, even Chef Rigo has written and said, "Oh my
Everybody.
God, Campea,
Yeah.
you brilliant bastard, we
Is this
tried
a
it."
Canadian thing?
No.
No.
I don't think it was a
Most
Canadian
of them
thing.
have great taste.
And don't lie, John. Somebody didn't get you to try it. You just tried it.
I'm pretty sure a girl that I was big on and trying to date, we were at a restaurant called Kelsey's in Canada, and she said you should try it with sour cream. And listen, she was so beautiful,
Toxic.
I would have rubbed it on my feet. I mean, if she had asked me
That's
to, I
feet
probably would have
levels.
done anything with the sour cream. But I'm like, okay, I'll try it, and my God, changed everything.
Feet tier.
Changed the way
Wow.
I looked at the world. All right, what's next?
From Ben Rayner, Quentin Tarantino in his private room. This was the best show yet. Quentin's wife. Honey, dinner is ready. Quentin, not now. I'm watching House of the Dragon.
I'm sure that is a conversation that's going on around the world. Hey, look, listen, you guys know that Ann and I, we only have a couple of shows that we watch together, but we make sure we try to watch it together. But when Ann was leaving with Ray yesterday to go to that wedding, I mean, she like pulled me aside. She shouldn't have to have this conversation, but she pulled me aside. And it was basically, so help me. If I come back tonight and we open HBO and it shows that somebody had already started
It
watching
wasn't
it,
me.
you are in fucking trouble. And I'm like, I got it. And there's not many shows like that.
I
that
told
we
Ray
ever-
to log in and watch a little bit.
don't laugh. Like, there have been so many times that Ann opens up Netflix and like some weird ass shit. It says, keep watching.
Yup.
And Ann's like, what are you watching? I'm like, it's your fucking brother. Your brother uses.
And don't say weird like it's only Morbius.
Well, yeah, that was the one actually. She's like, who's watching Morbius?
Have you gotten through it yet?
No.
He still hasn't
He
finished
watches
Morbius.
it in 10-minute segments.
And then falls asleep.
And then falls asleep.
I love this journey.
I tried to watch it here on Friday when everyone was gone. I had it up on that TV behind John, and I was like, that's enough for today.
I'm good for now.
I'm good.
I'm taking it all in.
That's
Wow.
fair. I think that's the only way to watch that film.
All right. What's next?
Everyone watching House of the Dragon. Not now, Madeline.
Not now.
If anyone gets that reference.
From Suthius. Chrysalie, Clark, Whitney, Natasha, Monovator, Sinead, Ashley W., Heletta, heck, even Makuga was
Yep.
a host on Film HQ with Heletta. All have been great hosts, each with a great personality. Welcome, ladies.
Oh,
Good
that's-
company.
Simultaneous.
No, honestly, it's funny because, doing this show and these types of shows for as long as I've done them, like when you have a gifted, talented host, and believe me, like first of all, everybody thinks everything we all do is super easy. Like that's just the assumptions that what we do is really, really easy. And of course, if in the words of Social Network, if you could do it, you would do it. So it's not easy, but when you have somebody who's really a really great presenter and hosting, the way that Natasha, Heletta was, I'm so glad you brought up Heletta. Heletta was fantastic. Or a Sinead or an Ashley, stuff like that. It makes a world of difference to the flow and feel of a show. It absolutely does. And it's funny because I got a lot of people always argue with me about that. And it's like, I feel like pulling out my Yoda and saying, my own counsel will I keep. Like, you know what? When you've grown 3 separate YouTube channels to 300,000 subscribers or more, come back and talk to me. But I feel pretty good about this. It is crazy. And you know what? I mentioned this on my social media, but like one of the many stupid decisions that Collider made after I left, but one of the big dumb ones that they did after I left was they fired all the hosts. And you could tell the quality of the show instantly hurt.
They also fired me.
They also fired you, which might have been one of the
But then
better
you went
moves
on
that
to
they did.
direct Batman.
Technically,
So
I
that
didn't
was
get fired. I
cool.
got laid off.
Yeah.
Yeah, they technically got laid off. Are you going back anytime soon?
No.
Have they called you back yet?
No, I'm directing something else right now.
So that's why and listen, I realize I have interviewed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people to be hosts, and it is not easy. People that I have hired make it look easy. And I think Alu and Kaylee are going to be 2 people that make it look easy. So no pressure. Now I'm like, all the world of
Shit.
pressure.
Good luck, ladies.
But I mean, both of your guys, like your taped auditions and stuff like that was like so great. And I'm so excited to have you guys doing this. And I think it's going to add a new dimension to the show. I'm very excited. So, all right, what's next?
From Sam Fisher. The combo about Liam Neeson and Naked Gun reminds me of how Andre Bauer said he played Captain Holt because Holt doesn't see himself as funny. Oh, he's great on that show.
I'm not even sure. What show are we talking about?
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, see, I don't watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Yeah.
I think you'd really enjoy it.
Anne keeps telling me that. Anne watches and she really likes. She says it's a show you would like, so I should try it out.
He has great lines. He's so good. Where he'll be like, "My code name is Velvet Thunder," and he does it completely deadpan.
That's what I was saying last
Beautiful.
week. The best comedies are the ones where people don't realize they're in a comedy.
Yeah, I mean, and Liam Neeson, his comedy stylings is going to be a perfect match for that. I think it's a great choice. All right, what's next?
From A. Marcellus, as a lifelong gamer, I can't even remember the last time I saw G4.
Yeah,
You're right. With all the gaming YouTubers that have popped up over the years, my selection is so much bigger.
and it's not even YouTube. Like an entire platform exists, Twitch.
Well, and G4 was trying to run things on Twitch while
Yes.
still having a network, and that's just convoluted.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, I understood the attempt, and I understood saying, you know, what if we try doing a mix of this and that? I
Sure.
get it. Predictably, it didn't work, but I give them credit for trying it. It's just that so much of that content now exists in alternate forms and more convenient forms and more exhaustive forms that it just makes it obsolete.
I'm going to watch Game Grumps if I want to watch playthroughs and stuff, you know, and that's free for me.
All right, what's next?
From Kaliwali, if given the chance, what bad movie that had a good concept would you remake? In my opinion, Slenderman 2018 could have been a great found footage movie.
You know what? I'm going to give you this one, and it's going to sound weird because actually I think the movie itself is already pretty good, but there was a lot of missed opportunities, and it could have been great. And that's Kate Beckinsale's Underworld.
I love that movie.
See, I think like Michael Sheen, or Michael Shannon, Michael Sheen.
It's Michael Sheen.
Michael Sheen as Lucian in the, oh my God. And what's his name? His fellow werewolf. He follows me on Facebook. He's got the voice like this. The huge guy who plays his like right-hand man werewolf. And I'm trying to remember his name right now. Anyway, that dude's amazing. That is a movie that had all the pieces, the whole notion of these 3 vampire lords that to avoid war, only one rules at a time, and they leapfrog through time. One will rule for 100 years. I think it's 100 years, then go to sleep, and 2 are sleeping. And just the way he says it, that is the way of things. 2 asleep, 1 awake. And then your big villain, Davy Jones. Who's the guy who plays Davy Jones?
Bill Nye.
What's that? Bill Nye. Bill Nye as Victor is truly one of the great movie villains, I think. It's just that they didn't execute quite right. And I always felt like the potential of this movie with the pieces they have, it could be utterly fantastic. Again, still a movie I enjoy.
Yeah, the stunt work in that is incredible.
Oh,
the
it's so
effects, the effects mostly practical. Like
Kate Beckinsale.
Kate Beckinsale.
She was personally responsible for the sale of 1 million pairs of leather pants in that, because that outfit.
Her and Sarah Michelle.
Yeah. Oh, so good. So that's one. All right, what's next?
From Simon Blakemore. Hi, John and crew. How's your day? I was wondering, have you thought about making another YouTube channel for your after shows?
I have thought about it. this has been, me and the Fine brothers used to have this discussion going back years ago. Is it better to put everything on one channel? Should you break it up into multiple channels? Quite frankly, I lean towards the chain of thought to have one YouTube channel that is your network. Now, look, if I started doing mixed martial arts stuff, which I've considered in the past, that would be something that would be on a completely different channel for sure. But this all kind of falls under the same umbrella, so it just feels more natural and logical to keep it all on one channel. So again, I may change my mind at some point in the future, but I've always kind of felt like that was the better approach. All
What
right,
about a
good question.
dance channel?
Those tapes will never see the light
I have
of
to
day.
tell you, John, for an upcoming Designing Hollywood podcast, I interviewed Gersha Phillips, who was from Saskatoon. She was a costume designer of the Woman King. She began her career making breakdance wear for a local dance crew.
I might have worn some of her stuff.
I was thinking that.
This is the crossover we deserve.
For those of you who don't know, what Rob is alluding to is as impossible as it is to picture, I used to be a professional breakdancer.
And what was your name?
Say it.
Pisces.
Yeah.
Because the name of the crew was the Zodiac crew, and everybody
So
went by
Because
there.
they all would kill us.
Everybody
Man
would
who
have
doesn't eat
stuff.
seafoods named Pisces.
The guy who doesn't eat seafood is named Pisces. We all had a different Zodiac sign name.
Wouldn't it be great when you got to Leo? They're like, "Oh, how'd you get that name?" They're like, "My name's Leo."
My name's literally Leo. Man, I had the shaved sides of my head, almost like not completely shaved down, but just short, and then lightning bolts
We need to do a maple
shaved
shave
more
on the side
into
of
the
your
side
head.
with. Do you remember Sun In? Do you remember the products
Yeah.
with Sun In sprayed on what little hair was on? So it was all blonde with lightning bolts.
Oh, shit. Wait, Sunnin for you actually came out
Killed
blonde?
himself.
Just the side. I was born blonde.
Okay.
I was blonde till I was about 11 or 12 years old. I was like a Targaryen.
I did
You
Sunnin
know what?
and was
I
like,
was
well, here's
too.
orange
I
now.
had
That's
blonde
nice.
hair, and then it went dark.
Did you have a signature song that you like to dance to the most?
Well,
I don't know.
I
you
mean,
know?
at that time, anything, my particular one, my jam,
Creed.
Kumo D, Wild Wild West. That was my song.
Okay,
Like,
that's
that one.
respectable.
But
gonna
like
be our new show
everything
opener.
from like, Melly Mel, obviously Run DMC was the king, were the kings
Sure.
at the time, all that kind of stuff. We even did some numbers to some Prince tunes.
As you
Even
should.
had some choreographed to some Prince tunes.
DMSR maybe.
Now, of course, there are two videotapes that still exist that I have not destroyed of my breakdancing days. And like the Ark of the Covenant, they are buried in a box up on the 200-acre Campea ranch up in Canada, my parents' ranch, that will never be seen by the light of day again. It
Papa
will
Campea.
never be found.
Call me.
There are always possibilities, Spock.
Will
said.
never be found.
Money talks.
All right, what's next?
From Trevor. Last night's Hot D episode makes a nod to Quentin Tarantino. Wink, wink. A nod.
Oh yeah, like
More of a pull.
absolutely. There is no like this.
A
That's
tug,
what
if
the
you will.
previous question person was alluding to. This is the greatest to Quentin Tarantino. This is the greatest episode in television history.
Why does someone on a dragon go, "And you will know that I am the Lord of Light when I..."
Nope, just feet.
One of the dragons ordered a
Tarantino
royale
loves
with
his feet.
cheese. It was
Yeah,
wild.
nice.
All right, what's next?
From Cutter Hale. Man from Uncle is criminally underrated.
It is.
I remember I didn't even have a lot of, even though I loved Henry Cavill, I didn't have a lot of love
That's
for
Guy
it.
Ritchie.
I went to the studio. They showed me in one of the screening rooms. I got to watch the movie at the studio in one of the screening rooms. And I came out going, that was bloody fantastic. That should have been a franchise. And it's criminal that more people didn't support it. It was absolutely wonderful. I mean, obviously today a little bit of a problem, but Armie Hammer and Henry together had great chemistry. You had, because Armie Hammer, everybody forgets, was the original cast Batman in the new era of Warner Brothers, because he was supposed to be in George
Justice League
Miller's
Immortal.
Justice League Immortal with George Miller. He was cast as Batman. He was 2 weeks away from being the first Batman, which we never heard him. So when I read his name, this guy Armie Hammer, I'm like, A, that's a porn name. B, that can't possibly be his real name.
That's a
But-
baking soda.
But it was, and then we saw
It's a baking soda.
Social Network, and
Yeah, but he probably was thinking the whole time that Henry Cavill was lunch. That's why they had great chemistry.
Does lick his lips a lot on camera.
all right, what's next?
From Ty Burton. I watched the Sounds of 007 documentary this weekend, and it was fantastic. While we're waiting for the new Bond, what do you guys think about doing a one-off farewell movie with Brosnan?
Anyway, Rob, you're the one who saw this. What do you think?
Yeah, I really like the documentary a lot. It skips over a lot of things, but it was really nice to hear from John Barry and a lot of the people. Some people said, well, it leaned too heavily on Billie Eilish recording her Academy Award-winning Bond theme. I had no problem with that because they actually had cameras in there while they were recording and interviewed her and Hans Zimmer. I thought it was really, really good. I mean, look, does it do a deep dive into the Bond themes? Not necessarily, but it's a great documentary. Put a smile on my face, and they released it on the actual 60th anniversary of the Bond films, the release of Dr. No in early October, the UK release of Dr. No. And in terms of, look, it's great. What's wrong? I love it.
I'm confused about a goodbye to Pierce Brosnan, though.
Is that like a never say never again, like they did with?
Yeah.
After seeing him as
Sean
Dr.
Connery.
Fate, as Kent Nelson in Black Adam, I would love to see an older Bond movie because even more, he's older than Sean Connery was in Never Say Never Again.
Yeah.
What does James Bond do in his 60s? And if he's not dead yet, why not have if we're gonna watch an 80-year-old Indiana Jones, I'll watch a 65-year-old James Bond kicking some ass. Why not?
And Jonathan, check your email there too. All right, let's move on to the next one. What is next?
Fired?
You're fired. Leave now.
From Jedediah Elias, channeled my inner Jordan Peele when I saw today's show title. Let's see what John's talking about today. See his title. Nope.
just no, I know it's, but again, at least this time it's not Ezra's done something else.
True.
At least not yet.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. All right. What's next?
From the man with the master plan, will there be a 3-host panel today for Hot D?
I believe so.
Woo.
I believe we will be doing a triple header there. The three of us will probably be on there talking about House of the Dragon. Very excited about it. Can't wait to talk about it.
No,
All right.
Are you giggling at triple header? Explain why.
No. Let's not explain why.
A Sith Lord.
Chris is like, say more words.
Yeah, say more words right now.
All right, what's next?
A Sith Loud. Haha, Hot D last night honestly pissed me off, but in a good way. That ending was chilling.
Oh, the ending was, again, the episode was already great. It could have ended in that scene with just, yay. Again, I'm not spoiling anything, but then they went there and it was like just absolutely perfect. I love it. Can't wait to talk about it a little bit later today on our after show. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to bring this up. I've mentioned this before, but notwithstanding all the current drama, I was a really, really big, I'll admit, I was a really, really big Armie Hammer fan. And I've had a chance to meet and talk to him a couple of times. And one of my favorite pictures actually was this picture.
He's like, you got any sour cream?
With me and Armie. Armie's a tall dude, by the way. He's like 6'4", 6'5". I'm pushing 6 and he's towering over me. But I remember saying, as I look back, trying to give his perspective, I look at him now, it's like the way he's looking at me is almost like he thinks I look delicious. So just wanted to throw that out there. All right. Anyway, okay, what's next?
From Danito. Eagles, Cowboys, and House of the Dragon. Team Green either way. Ooh,
Oh.
I understood that.
God, you know what?
Eagles.
I love it when the Dallas Cowboys lose. Although, that being said, I've kind of been cheering a bit for Cooper Rush. I kind of love these underdog stories when a backup quarterback, there's a superstar quarterback, and then the backup who's never going to play a game gets in there. Until last night, he was undefeated. He's won all 4 of his games that he's started for the Dallas Cowboys. So good for Cooper Rush, and I hope he gets a good opportunity somewhere else outside of Dallas. All right, what's next?
From Andy. Saw your pic from 32 years ago that you posted on Instagram, Rob. Damn, you look hot as fuck in your 20s.
See?
Also, nice to know Campea finally followed you on Instagram. You did?
Yes, a while ago, actually.
Oh,
I
that's
started
sweet.
following Rob a while ago.
Hey, age is a hell of a thing.
Yeah?
That's all I can say. No, that was a picture that my grandmother, who's from New York City, one day we're at dinner, and my sister and I, we'd never been to New York. And somehow it came up at dinner. My grandmother looked at us and said, "You've never been to New York?" And we're like, "No, we're from Seattle, And then she's like, "You're going to New York." And like a month later, my sister and I have never taken a trip together and sent us to New York for like a week. All expenses paid. She gave us money to spend. She got us tickets for a Broadway show. Aww. And it was like the greatest. We did everything you could do in New York. My sister and I had the best time, and those pictures were taken in some We were in some bar, some really cool bar, and there's two pictures in those. I have those pictures actually framed on my wall, and yeah, we had a great time. And it just popped up as a memory. I hadn't seen that picture in a while.
By the way, I only asked this. It has nothing to do with that. I only asked this now because I've been meaning to ask you this, and I keep forgetting, and I just remembered it. If I had to put you on the spot, and feel free to throw in a third option here. Would you say your career highlight was either A, directing William Shatner in your own movie, or B, working on Lord of the Rings? What would you say? What would you say is your highlight, or would there be a third option?
No, those are very different. Those are very different things. I would say, in a way, that's a tough call. No, I'd have to say writing and directing your own movie with your childhood hero is definitely a career highlight, but you couldn't enjoy it because it was so fraught with. I mean, every day
directing
was
a movie. Yeah.
It was horrific and pressure filled. I enjoyed working on Lord of the Rings more because I was seeing all of these different disciplines, like sitting in the bigatures department, watching them shoot a fell beast's point of view on the Minas Tirith miniature that's 30 feet high. It was so cool. It was all of my fandom. Where I interviewed Christopher Lee for 5 hours, and it was just an amazing experience. So I enjoyed it more. But I think if I look back in my career, I think, it's John, a career is a journey. And I'm happy I did all of this stuff, but I did have more fun, and I enjoyed working on Lord of the Rings more.
All right. Did you have more fun working on Lord of the Rings or directing your own Skinamax series?
I have to say, directing 5 episodes of Femme Fatales was really fun, but again, it's that pressure.
Yeah.
And you have to make.
And you got even a tighter schedule, tighter
12-hour days. We had to shoot in 3 days and make it in 12 hours, but there was a lot of filthy involved.
There were so many jokes there that I just had to be like, no, Chris, stop it.
Filter between brain and mouth.
Sometimes it kicks in.
All right, what's next?
From Al Renshaw, question for the crew. Favorite movie out of these? Elf, Home Alone, Step Brothers, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Step Brothers.
Step Brothers.
By a mile.
But Elf is so pure
Elf
and
is
wonderful.
wonderful.
But Step Brothers shouldn't be in here.
Yeah, I don't get why that's.
Yeah.
That's not a Christmas movie.
It is not a. There's
you
a
bring
big
the
Christmas
Catalina
theme, but
wine
it's not.
mixer to this?
There's a huge Christmas part of the movie, but it's not a Christmas
Yeah.
movie. But if you're going to put it on that list,
Then it
it's
is Step Brothers.
I mean, I can watch that movie every 6 months and still laugh myself sick.
I haven't seen any of those other movies.
You haven't
seen
watched
Home Alone?
Step Brothers?
You haven't
I've
seen
seen Home
Elf?
Alone, but I haven't seen Elf or National. What is it?
Oh my gosh,
But
But
Ray.
Step-
Step
Vacation.
Brothers. Have you not seen Step
Oh
Brothers?
yeah. That's my pick.
Oh my
I mean,
god.
of the
Okay.
vacation movies, it's probably my least favorite. The Christmas one.
Yeah.
One day when we have a long break, we're going to sit here and eat spaghetti and watch Elf. And it's going to be the best.
Elf is so good. Ed Asner as Santa Claus. R.I.P. Ed
perfect.
Asner. Oh. All right. What's next?
From JCSC, John Campea and costume suggestion, Peacemaker and Vigilante.
Ooh, I like that.
We would pay to see you recreate the opening credits. Also, favorite soda, Coke, Pepsi, other.
Okay.
Those
So
cheap bastards.
straight up favorite soda is Coke.
Oh.
But I very rarely ever drink it anymore. I used true story, back in the movie blog days when I would do the movie blog podcast, I literally would sit down with two 2-liter bottles of Coke, and I would go through both of them while doing a show.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
Sure.
And
Teeth
then
love the enamel,
I
love
found
that.
out about reading nutritional labels, and I found out how many calories and how much sugar was in all that. So I switched to diet. My diet choice is actually Diet Pepsi. I prefer Coke for regular soda. I prefer Diet Pepsi over Diet Coke. Now, what was the actual question? I got sidetracked on that. Bring that back up again,
Which was a
Taylor.
fair question. And do you like Peacemaker and Vigilante?
Oh, okay. That's great. I still remember after watching Peacemaker episode 1, it is the greatest intro to any show in history. Like there's no show has ever come close to this. And I remember strongly looking at, I was going to try to book a studio somewhere where we could get the John Campea Show crew in and we would recreate and enact the opening for Peacemaker. But by the time we got around to it, the show had been out for about 3 weeks and there was about 300 other parodies of that out there. And I thought, it's too late. But it would have been fun. It would have been fun. All right, what's next?
From Victor Edbaum. Rob, if you have to choose one Friday the 13th movie to watch, which one and why? Jason Lives is my favorite.
Okay. One of the greatest movie-going experiences I've ever had in my life was Friday the 13th 3D. Oh. And you had to have been in that theater when I would, in Seattle, there was a theater downtown. Let's call it an urban audience. The best place, the best movie theater, go and watch a horror film, bar none. And because I did not want to go out to the suburbs, to Bellevue to watch this movie, that movie in 3D blew the roof off that theater. There was, I think back, and I think that was 1982. And it was so, the audience, my God, that I wish I could bottle that audience and bring them to every movie I ever go to because it was so much fun. But it's not the best Friday the 13th movie, but it was certainly the best that night.
All right, what's next?
From Luis Enrique de la Peña, I have some ideas for Halloween costumes. Disguise yourselves as each other.
Ha!
The Justice League, the Avengers, Justice Society, or as a WWE superstar.
Not lying. Going to Vegas for Halloween is a tradition of ours. We're going again this year. Us and a few other friends, we're going to go to Vegas for Halloween. The one year we went a couple years ago, I don't know if you remember this, Ray. Anne has a killer Ultimate Warrior costume. And we went to Vegas and she literally got up as Ultimate Warrior. It's a great costume. No, I think this year she's either gonna do her amazing slave Jasmine. She's got this great costume that she designed that is a cross between Jasmine and slave Leia, and she's got her chain is being held by a blue Jabba the Hutt. It's just amazing. By the way, if you guys don't follow, you should follow my wife's Instagram account, which is Ann Cosplays. So just look up Ann Cosplays on Instagram. You see a bunch of her things. Listen, let's be honest. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get on Amazon later today. I'm going to search men's costumes and I'm just going to pick one. Or I'm going to go down to the Halloween store and just find a simple costume to put on. That's probably because I have no sense and no style. So I'll just pick something at random. All right, what's next?
From Sam Fisher, Rob, which company makes the best Star Trek scale model hobby kits? Revel, AMT, Polar Lights, another company I haven't heard about?
All of those models have been, it's now round 2, which used to be Polar Lights. They're doing repops of all the older kits. So go to round 2. They've got great model kits coming out. They do great stuff. Also, Mobius does make some good Star Trek kits too. But if you want the original Enterprise, the NX-01, or like Discovery or whatever, no, don't buy Discovery. But if you want any of those, round 2 is the company.
All right, what's next?
From Raymond Verrata, the Thai staff of Noka Ramen in Oakland, dressed in Power Rangers costumes, saved a woman from a racist shouting Asian slurs. The customers and hairnet cooks joined in, and the cops took the guy away. This Twitter thread was bonkers.
What happened?
This was great. So this ramen shop in Oakland, they were trying out wearing Power Rangers costumes because they had like Power Rangers themed items on their menu.
Okay.
And some piece of shit dude comes in, I think strangling a woman and just starts throwing slurs at people. And the staff dressed as Power Rangers just were like, not today, bro, and took care of this guy. It was great. People coming together.
Did they actually have powers?
I mean, they had the power of shutting down some racist shit, which is a power we all should have.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that.
It was epic. Oh, good job, you guys.
All right, what's next?
From Mike's Movie Madness. D, written and directed by Quentin Tarantino.
I mean, yeah, like you knew when that scene happened, there was going to be a lot of Tarantino comments. But it is, listen, here's the thing that was so brilliant about the scene. It made you feel every bit of ickiness that it wanted you to feel. And when the dude involved in the scene starts doing what the dude in the scene was doing, you're like, you learn so much more about that dude. And you're like, oh my God.
Did you think it was a little out of place though?
No. At first, yes. But then when you realize, when you actually look back, it's like, sorry, I can't answer that without going into detail.
Yeah.
So we'll save that for the after show later. All right, what's next? Oh.
From Southius, my Phase 4 Disney Plus series rankings. Loki, Crazy Android Loving Witch, Ms. Marvel, Falcon and Cranky Soldier, Three Guys, One Body, She-Hulk, Old Guy Still Shooting Arrows, and Animation Eye Candy. Enjoy it all.
Yeah, for me, the Marvel offerings on Disney Plus has been a mixed bag. On the one hand, you got some of the best shit out there, like with WandaVision, which I still think is the gold standard of what Disney Plus can do. WandaVision, Ms. Marvel, I thought was right up there with it. I still prefer WandaVision, but Ms. Marvel is right up there. Hawkeye, for me, unfortunately, was a miss. She-Hulk, unfortunately, was a miss. Although both of them had some really big highlight things. Again, Jennifer's Bruce smashes building. I smash fourth walls. And Matt Murdock. I mean, that had Ann almost falling off the couch laughing so hard. There were some great moments in there. But again, Hawkeye didn't work for me. She-Hulk didn't work for me. But I mean, here's hoping they turn it around. They got some really interesting stuff coming. So let's see how they do it. All right, what's next?
From Mr. Holbrook. Are the reports of Sacha Baron Cohen being Mephisto true?
I don't believe them at all.
It'd be
Again,
the most Mephisto thing.
know.
It'd be the most Mephisto thing. Number one, let me be clear. It could be. I'm not telling you that I have inside sources that are telling me it's absolutely not true. I ain't saying that at all. But I don't believe it. Also, after the reaction and response that Thor Ragnarok got, hiring Sacha Baron Cohen to be, who, by the way, is a legit actor.
Yeah, he is.
He ain't just Borat, kids.
Or Ali G.
Or Halle G, or The Dictator. By the way, Dictator's a little bit underrated as a comedy. But it was in the trailers. I think Anna Faris was the girl in it. She's like, I volunteer at the rape center. You have a center for rape? I'm like, just, oh my God. It's so, Sacha Baron Cohen is so good at creating these uncomfortable moments. But anyway, he's actually quite a good actor. But I think to cast him as Mephisto at this point, coming off of what happened with Thor. So again, listen, I ain't saying it's not possible that could be true. I'm just saying I don't believe it. I don't buy it. All right, what's next?
From Kevin Frazier. Happy Monday to you lovely people and Dracarys to a certain set of royal toe munchers. Keep it filthy.
Listen, Kevin, I want to talk about that so bad. That one word could have changed the entire direction of Westeros. But we will talk about that during the open spoiler discussion a little bit later. All right, what's next?
From Chef Rigo.
Chef Rigo!
It has happened. I've reached celebrity status. On Friday at work, someone asked if I was the Chef Rigo from the John Campea show. Shout out to Ramsey. Oh, yeah, Chef.
It is so funny to me that, number one, whenever somebody comes on the show or works on the show, like Erin is great because Erin has had her own television show. She's been a lead star in a number of shows. She's been in some of those popular shows of all time, from Mad Men to Masters of Sex to Nip Tuck to The Flash to Blacklist, everything. But it's so funny talking to her husband, Tom. He's like, oh yeah, when we're out in public, out of every 10 times people come up and recognize her and talk to her, 8 out of 10 is because the John Campea show. It's not because of The Flash. It's not because of Blacklist. It's like whatever. So to actually have Chef Rigo actually be approached by somebody.
Speaking of Chef Rigo, did Ann talk to you about the WrestleMania?
Oh, that we might book a...
the suite?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're
Chef
talking about
Rigo, if you want to come along.
Don't be passing out invites for checks that I'm paying.
No, we're all gonna put in.
We'll talk. We were talking about before you got here. You would have been. You would have been a part of the conversation if you weren't late. But we had this big conversation about it. Throwing the guy under the bus.
Shamed.
All
Live.
right. What's next?
From L. Leonardo. Pandemic weight on doctor's orders, diet and exercise. But before I start today, I looked at athletic greens and I tried mozzarella sticks with sour cream. Started out weird and then I couldn't stop.
I know. That's the thing. It's a little weird. It's a little odd.
I was definitely able to stop.
Sour cream on cheese. I mean, who would think? And guys, dude, everybody put on pandemic weight. Don't you worry about it one little bit. Mm-hmm. But see, the glory, it's a movement, Rob. It's a movement that will not be stopped.
I'll never subscribe to that.
It's a bowel movement waiting to happen.
We made a video about this.
Yeah.
We did. We went on, we tried the
So
experiment.
good. You're just stubborn. You're just digging in your heels.
No, we tried it.
No, I think Jonathan said the right thing. He said you need that little acidic kick at the end.
Exactly.
Maybe sour cream and, marinara.
If
but
I
you
want
got
mozzarella and
the
tomato sauce, I'll have a pizza. Thank you. But this is unique. All right, what's next?
Okay.
It's kind of the idea of a... Okay, never mind.
From Andy, the foot scene.
Hold a second.
Mm-hmm.
What? Oh, is it a spoiler?
Okay, no, it's fine. It's fine.
good.
It's
Okay.
fine.
Funny.
Go ahead.
Back.
The foot scene is the wildest, unexpected, dirty thing I've seen this year, right next to Betty letting Archie smash Veronica while she probably watches.
That to me is still, without a doubt, one of the craziest things, but oddly interesting application of superpowers. So let me see if I get this right, Chris. Help me follow this. So in Riverdale,
Yes.
now everybody has superpowers. Right?
At the last season they did, but I think maybe that is now all retconned.
Okay,
I
but
don't
when
know.
this
It's
was happening,
ridiculous.
they all had superpowers.
They all had superpowers.
One of Archie's superpowers was that he's basically indestructible.
Yes.
And he was dating Veronica.
He was dating Betty.
He was dating Betty.
Yes.
So they're in a relationship. Archie's got the powers that he's pretty much indestructible.
Yes.
Now, Betty's bestie, Veronica, she had some kind of superpower that would kill anybody that would have sex with her.
Yeah, she was like a black widow. So if she like did stuff with you, you die.
Okay.
But not Archie.
Right. So Archie is indestructible. Veronica is hard up. She like anybody, she needs some.
Yeah.
So Betty, being the good best friend, and her boyfriend was indestructible, she said, you know what? Borrow my boyfriend.
Yes.
Because you can have sex with him and it won't kill you. Am I understanding that right?
That is exactly what happened, because apparently Betty and Archie are part of the lifestyle. And hey, if everyone consents, good for you. And there's no vibrators in Riverdale. Not a one. They got all that jingle jangle, but no rabbits. That's their drugs.
But
Wow.
wow. So are you telling me, what was the name of the diner they all ate at?
Pops.
So Pops didn't have any of those toys laying around? No, none?
Not even in the underground speakeasy, because that's another thing on
That's
this show.
exactly where that sort of thing would happen.
Yeah.
It's the underground speakeasy. Okay, what's
You guys are a
next?
little gross today.
It's Riverdale. It ain't us. It's Riverdale. Come on. Who hasn't led their boyfriend or girlfriend to their best friend because otherwise it's fatal? Who hasn't done that?
That's just friendship.
That's friendship.
And it's
just-
magic.
It is. My
Sharing
Little
is
Pony taught
caring.
us all that.
It's true.
Yeah.
All right, what's
Head over
next?
the rainbow.
From Victor 5001, London Film Fest reminded me cinema beats streaming experience every time. Also, Brendan Fraser, Whale, and Daniel Deadweiler, Till, need nominations. Oh, Taylor saw Till, and I wanted to talk to him about it.
I have not seen Till yet.
It opened this weekend, didn't it?
I
Did
believe
it?
so. Yeah.
Oh my
It did.
God,
It
they did a
opened
bad
limited
job
release this
marketing that
weekend.
then.
I actually saw Till yesterday, and I was really bummed because I saw two movies over the weekend. The first one was Halloween Ends, No Thank You, and then I saw Till yesterday. In Halloween, the theater was sold out, and in Till, there was only a dozen of us. So if you have a choice between the two, I would highly recommend taking the time to check out Till.
But to highlight the problem, they did not do a good job of letting people know it was up. 'Cause I didn't even know it was opening. I want to see this movie, and I didn't know it was opening out.
I heard the director on NPR this weekend speaking about it, and it really sounds incredible.
Well, it looks incredible.
And
Well, the story it's based on is like
Yeah.
one of the more tragic things in American
Horrible.
history. All right, what's next?
From Elijah McGaughan, thanks to House the Dragon, I'm a Game of Thrones fan.
I mean,
Awesome.
listen, this did House of the Dragon has done something. Not only was it an appropriate and acceptable follow-up to Game of Thrones. For people who did not watch Game of Thrones, you can watch this now. It's going to turn people on to Game of Thrones. This thing stands so well on its own. It just amazes me every week.
Yep.
All right, what's next?
From Sin Vendetta, Chris, hey, you grew up with the same kids show channels as me. Were you a Nickelodeon kid, Cartoon Network kid, Disney Channel kid, Fox Kids kid? Ooh, okay. I watched all of the above, but as a little, I was a very big Disney afternoon kid where it was Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, Darkwing Duck, Tailspin, all that good stuff. That was the shit.
You know, Anne's always asking me, she's like, hey, you remember that show on Nickelodeon? It's like, baby, how many times do we have to go over this? We didn't have Nickelodeon in Canada. So, but apparently everybody here watched Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
I didn't know much
Logan
about
grew
it.
up without Disney Channel because that was an add-on at the time. And so whenever I talk about like DuckTales, he's like, what the hell are you talking about?
All right, what's next?
From Dunkin' Donuts is better than Krispy Kreme. Hard agree. Watched Fright Night remake. It was really fun. Anton Yelchin was gone far too soon.
That movie's surprisingly good.
I love that one.
With Colin Farrell as the vampire, and Anton
And
Yelchin,
David Tennant.
McLovin. I'm freezing on McLovin's name. I can't remember his name, but he was really good. It's actually, look, no one's going to like that. I'm going to say this.
Don't say it.
It's better than the
No, it's not.
It is.
No.
The original does not
Christopher
hold up.
Mintz-Plasse.
Christopher Mintz-Plasse, yes. It was great. And I actually think, now I didn't love the original, but I actually think the remake is better than the original.
You're so cool, Brewster.
Listen, the first one's good. The first one's good. It is. And I'm not saying that the remake is some top 50 greatest movie of all time. I'm certainly not. But I'm just saying it was far more enjoyable than I think it had any business being. And Colin Farrell, I mean, I just love Colin
No,
Farrell.
he was great.
Yeah, he was really
But
good.
it is surprisingly good.
All right, guys. And that'll do it for this installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those super chats. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the John Campea Show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Once again, don't forget to come back at 3:15 p.m. We would do it at 3 p.m., but we're actually interviewing the costume designer for Black Adam today, which is going to be a lot of fun, which is going to be part of our, of course, I will also say Discussing Hollywood, Designing Hollywood show, brought to you by Marilyn Vance and Martika Ibarra. So make sure you guys check that out. But at 3:15 p.m., House of the Dragon after show, come on back and join us for that. All right, guys, for everybody in the room, first of all, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. We, of course, had Chris Carr, the wonderful Ray Ora joining you guys in the live chat. We've got Jonathan Voico and a little guest shot of Taylor back there. And, of course, joining us in studio today, just so we could introduce you guys, we have Alu and, of course, Kaylee, and we will see you guys as regulars starting tomorrow. Thank you guys both for being here so much. And thank you guys for being here, for making the show part of your day. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.